Jam-a-ram!
Submit to the High Council here on World Class Bullshitters. I'm your host, Jeff Hicks, and with me tonight is Mary Mayhem.
Heidi ho.
Up next is our guest. We love him so much we had to have him back again. Say hello to Literature Devil.
Hello, hello. Thanks for having me back.
And finally, a very special guest joining us all the way from, I don't know where the hell you're from, Robot Shlomo. What is up, man?
It's my WWE persona. From parts unknown, weight unknown. Robot Shlomo.
Ooh,
You're
yeah.
from where the Ultimate Warrior's from. All right. I dig it.
Like the Moondogs. Like Rex and Spot. You remember them?
How's your lips?
Oh God.
Fortunately, they're both like attached to my face, meeting at the mouth,
The Rock can't all have all winners, so there. Mary gets a win for today. Yeah, there you go, Shogun Orta. There's the best message of the evening so far. There we go.
I'm sorry. You weren't supposed to do that.
I talked with a friend of mine who also likes the old wrestling stuff, and that came up, and we talked about how dumb that catchphrase was for like 30 minutes straight. Like, this is how stupid "How's your lips" was. Like, yeah, I'm glad nobody remembers that because it was really, really stupid.
See, I'm more old school wrestling, like late 70s, early 80s. Captain Lou Albano, Classy Freddie Blassie, the Grand Wizard, those guys. The Fabulous Don Morocco. I mean, so before it became a soap opera for men. So,
I mean, the drama between Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vince McMahon was pretty epic. So
that was pretty.
I can deal with the soap opera.
I think saved the industry.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I think when he destroyed his car, like then they announced like, "Oh, it's a $10 million car" or whatever it is. Like trying to always hype it up. Like obviously it's not that expensive, but they're always like hyping it up. That's a $10 trillion suit or whatever they said whenever they kind of messed up his suit or whatever. It was good. I liked it. They destroyed.
You didn't like the Rock's $500 shirts?
What was that big? What was that big gigantic thing that they come out and it's the gigantic screen? What was it called?
The Titantron.
Yeah, or something like that. And then that one time where like Steve Austin he helped destroy that thing. That was pretty awesome.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. When Vince McMahon's father used to run the WWF or WWE, whatever it was, and when the old man died, I can't remember who it was. Maybe it was Gorilla Monsoon, like Angelo Mosca or whatever said, "You ain't seen nothing yet, kid." And sure enough, here we are.
Here we are indeed. So, folks, welcome into Wrestling Talk. I'm your host, Buffalo Jeff. No, we have something epic to talk about. Folks, tonight isn't just a regular night. It's a night of I told you so, because the biggest story out there right now is Kathleen Kennedy getting, I don't know, dunked on. That seems too lowbrow of a phrase, but
that was
pretty much. She got dunked on by Marcia Lucas, probably the best woman to ever work on Star Wars. So we have a lot to talk about. We're going to take this one way back. We're going to have some fun with this. We'll even bring up our friend, the round-headed one, Ryan Johnson. But I want to reiterate the point. We were right all along. We called it years ago. We were called horrible names, and it's so refreshing to hear someone who understands the heart and soul of Star Wars reiterate that point. So tonight, folks, we don't have to fight. We can laugh at the stupidity that was Disney Star Wars. Every time someone looked you in the eye, well, they didn't have the nerve or the balls to look you in the eye, but anytime someone took to Twitter and got all up in a huff and they wanted to tell you how you were a sexist or a misogynist or some other bullshit, now's the time to retweet them and say, guess what? Fuck you. I was right. But we'll save Razor Fist for another day. That's right, folks. Razor Fist and I, we've been talking behind the scenes, so he'll be joining us in a few weeks' time. We also have a couple other special guests in the hopper. So remember, Tuesday night, High Council here on World Class Bullshitters. Do not miss out. You never know what's going to happen. So before we jump in to the proper big Star Wars story, I wanted to talk about something just briefly as a nice palate cleanser, because today in Star Wars history, something happened. How were we introduced to Star Wars? Rob, did you see it in theaters?
Yes. 1977 with my parents and my brother Mark and my brother Lou at the Mini Cine on Middletown Avenue here, which in the theater is still there, actually. And I'll never forget that. The lights went down. You heard the 20th Century Fox fanfare and the big crescendo that you heard, and you saw the scroll, and the ships flew over the blockade runner, and the Star Destroyer flew overhead. And I always say at that moment, the movie became bigger than the screen. And I knew that was the coolest thing I was going to see in a movie ever.
It still holds up to this day. I mean, this isn't the world's best comparison, but when I was a kid, that scene from Independence Day when they blew up the White House was one of those moments where you're like, oh my God, this is so crazy. But even then, Star Wars still takes the cake. 20 years before that, it was magic. But now it's safe to say the rest of us all discovered Star Wars on home video, correct?
Yes. My daddy actually, we had this big ordeal where we'd had like water damage done to a certain area, and we'd had the VHS tapes, and they'd gotten completely ruined, and my father had thrown a fit about it. I'd seen them before that, but he went to go get them replaced, to go buy a new set, and they didn't have the originals. They had the special editions, except for Empire Strikes Back. So Empire Strikes Back was the only one he got the original edition, and then the other two he had to get the special edition. So, but yeah, I grew up with them on VHS. My dad was a big Star Wars nut.
Well, today in Star Wars history, just for the hell of it, Star Wars finally hit DVD, and we had another edit to Star Wars. Literature Devil, did you pick up Star Wars on DVD, or did you skip this format?
We got VHS, DVD, Blu-ray, everything. Just because I kept losing the copies or whatever. But just VHS first. I kept watching them over and over and over and over and over again. It was pretty cool because I think our parents introduced me to Star Wars. That's where, and then I was like, oh, this is awesome! All kinds of gun battles and spaceship battles and explosions, and then violence and then swords. It was pretty awesome. I didn't really need any force is female. These people are. I didn't need any of that. I didn't need a movie to tell me war is bad. You know, people die and thanks, Rian Johnson. I got it already.
War by Adam Kai.
I didn't really need all that. I just need explosions and gun battles and a cool hero to follow around and see his journey and see how valiant and noble people could become once they learn how to be so.
Yeah.
Now, one last thing I'd like to say about the Star Wars DVDs before we do move on is, you got those. This brought in yet another edit of the Han Greedo scene, which the original is the best. They get progressively better until you get to McClunky when it's just one last middle finger from George Lucas. But this is also the addition of Star Wars that brings us Hayden Christensen being inserted, giggity, into Return of the Jedi.
The Dark Time.
Yeah.
The Dark Time.
Yeah.
I don't really hate Hayden Christensen. Just what they did with him was awful. Like Daisy Ridley. I don't really hate Daisy Ridley. I just hate Rey.
I will give it up though to George Lucas though. Every time I go to the mechanic, can you take a look under the hood? The car's acting kind of McClunky. So I mean,
and he was really adamant about no. Greedo shoots first, not Han. Even though that kind of messes up that little thing. People will say, oh, what does it matter? It's just a little thing. But little things are what matter. They only grasp onto the big stuff. That's why their writing is so terrible. Like, who cares about the little stuff? We just want the big stuff, the big picture. We want the big lines, the big moments. They just never earn those big moments. They kind of brush off little things and little details. Like, a person is not their politics. A person is not their identity. Whatever. A person is a kind of a collection of a bunch of little stuff that kind of builds up into something larger.
Is it weird that I don't actually mind the tweaks and the adding or fiddling or removing, as long as they don't take away the originals? Like, for me, it's as long as the original stuff is still available, right? As long as that's still accessible and I can get to. I don't actually mind more options. I don't mind people having a different version, which still manages to maintain at least the overarching overall picture and everything is done basically the same, just a few, let's be real, that's a tweak, right? Hayden Christensen being inserted into that position in the actual originals is just a tweak, and you can either love it or hate it or whatever, and that's a personal opinion, and I don't actually mind it so long as you don't remove the ability to get that original copy. That's the only thing that bugs me.
Well, I'll tell you one thing though. I mean, like I said, the little tweaks I don't mind so much if they're just aesthetic details, making Cloud City look a little nicer. You know,
Well, define nicer because now it looks like shit.
Well, yeah.
At the time, you were like, oh, but now it's like,
yeah.
Oh, but like I'm with you there, Rob.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to talk a little bit about Star Trek later, and there's some great actually examples in Star Trek, the original series, where they went back and they added some effects, and you're like, wow, these effects actually, the new effects are really nice, because the old ones look terrible. I mean, for the time, you know, yeah, they're good for the time, but they were actually pretty bad, and Robert Meyer Burnett will tell you that too. But a moment like when Greedo is confronting Han in the bar, in the cantina, bar, cantina, whatever it is. That is an important moment because as a kid, I saw that, and that just revealed so much about Han's character. That he's, you know, he probably, not that he didn't want to, but he did. He shot first.
He's the only one who shot.
Exactly.
He was that showed us that he was kind of like a scoundrel, kind of a roguish character. He was up top. He was smiling and trying to be charming and everything, and trying to say, "Hey, Greedo, you know, hey, things happen, you know." And then on the bottom, though, on the underneath the table, he's getting his gun and ready to shoot Greedo to get out of the situation.
Yeah.
Like I said,
he was a roguish character.
Well, yeah,
because Han don't give a fuck. That's why. Because Han doesn't give a fuck. Han is going to walk out of the situation, and you aren't. If you think that you can corner Han and you can nail his ass to a wall, you are sorely mistaken. That was who Han was. Why do you want to fuck with that?
Exactly. It showed you. It. You know, I saw that when I was, like I said, 7 years old. I said, "Wow, this guy's a badass." I didn't say it in those exact words back then, but I was like, "Whoa, no!" Because you know, the good. I never saw the good guy shoot first back then.
I mean,
well, you don't anymore either.
You don't.
Let's be real. Han wasn't a good guy in the beginning.
No,
Han was only a good guy in the sense that he had an arc, right? He wound up evolving quite a bit, but Han was a sexist asshole. That was sort of the point.
Well, actually, you know, my father once said to me, asked me about that. He said, how does Han Solo fit into this? Yeah, my father was from Italy, you know, he loved Star Wars though. He took us to go see, but he asked me years later, how does what's his relationship to Luke? I mean, how's he fit? He's just a guy they hired to, you know, to charter a ship. I mean, he's a pirate. He's a guy that he's, you know, hired. He's a mercenary, really, but he's good at what he does, and he'll do whatever it takes to get the job done. And you can see that. Like I said, he's not gonna be cornered. He's gonna figure out a way to get the job done. And like I said, and shooting Greedo was one of them.
By the way, since we're on this note, I was reading this book by the guy who made JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and he made a book about manga and how he got into it, which is a legendary series, by the way, even legendary in America. So he made a story so good it was popular in Japan and America, like both cultures together. And he mentioned, and he in the beginning of the book he talks about how important little details are. Like he said that if I were to make a panel 1, I would say I could tell the guy, make the guy say, I think I'll have pasta tonight, and then he goes into detail, breaking everything down. Like, oh, I think I'll have pasta tonight. It means that he likes pasta. He's probably more well off because he can choose to have pasta. He can have little details in the background of the kitchen will tell you what the personality is, and then little movements here and there will give you so much information. So all these manga creators, by the way, that are dominating the market right now, the American market, this is the kind of thought they put into their images and their dialogue. It's like they know what they're doing. They know what to say, when to say it, how to put stuff in the background, what to show you, and it's all done for a reason. At least as far as the creator of JoJo is concerned. And he goes into like this page after page after page, going over like taking apart this stuff and showing us exactly why he puts all the stuff in there and exactly what those little details do to us without us really realizing it. It's like what Plinkett said. You may not have realized it, but your brain does. And so they come at you saying that, oh, it was a little thing. Oh, it was just, you know, who cares? Who cares if Han shot first? It's a big thing. These little things are actually the stuff that makes the big stuff, which is why they don't understand how to pull off big moments, because they don't realize that big moments are not really big by themselves. They're big moments because they've been led up by a bunch of smaller ones.
Wasn't it Hitchcock that said nothing is on screen by accident?
Exactly. Yeah. That's the Chekhov's gun sort of idea. And also his way of doing that was to build tension. And I think one of the examples he used on that specifically how to build suspense and tension was to have like two guys sitting in a restaurant, which is mundane by itself, but you show the audience the bomb sitting under the table or the guy holding a gun underneath the table, and then throughout the entire conversation, like, when is that gun go off? When is that gun going to go off? When is it going to shoot some guy? What's going to happen? And so the whole time,
Chekhov's gun.
Yeah, the Chekhov's gun idea. If you show a gun in the first act, it better be shot. It got to be shot by the second or third.
I can't remember who said it, but it was the saying, a bomb that goes off. You have people sitting around a table. A bomb goes off. That's a thrill. But if there's a bomb on a table and it doesn't go off, that's suspense.
See, I don't think when you hear the phrasing or the phrase "the devil's in the details," that goes a lot of different ways. What people don't seem to understand is that if you have something that wound up on that screen accidentally, then you have people who aren't paying attention to what the fuck they're doing, right? Everything, like I was watching this, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the show Avatar: The Last Airbender, but it's probably my favorite show of all time. And there are so many things that are so crazy consistent from one show to the next, right? From one episode to the next. Where everything, like you said, adds up, right? Everything winds up leading to this thing, and where everything is so deliberate and so purposeful, and you can sense that they are moving with real purpose. That was why they were able to accomplish as much as they did in just 3 short seasons. They didn't need a 4th season with Avatar: The Last Airbender, for example. And so I don't understand how people can so haphazardly throw junk together, but symbolism and meaning, right? Oh, it can resonate with you on some kind of emotional level, so your brain doesn't need to function anymore. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, they're trying to purposely put in like this, the big meaning, the big emotional payoffs. The thing is, those come actually on their own, like as a result of all the little stuff, all the hard work and the footwork that you did, putting the story and characters together. And that actually, as you know, Gaiman has a little saying of that. I forgot where he said it exactly. I think it was an interview I watched once, where he said that the craft is as important as the artistry. Which means that the building blocks, the formula, the way you build the story is important in the artistry. Because if you get the craft right, the art will come naturally. So you just the art is kind of, if you do a good story that you care about, there's a lot of substance in it, that you have a lot of people and characters and things kind of going together with together in that manner, then you're going to have a story. And it's kind of like writers say, "Oh, this character did this." Writers will almost treat their fictional characters as real people. And the phenomenon happens because these characters are well developed. That you understand where these characters are going, what they're doing, what they're going to do. And even like the guy who made JoJo was like, some people even argue that you don't even need a traditional story. There's no real. When they say story, actually, I think he means plot. There's no like terrorist to stop or whatever it is. You can actually have a manga or a story in a manga that just centers around 2 people talking, but they have to be well-developed characters. They have to be really well-developed characters that people kind of enjoy seeing them interact together. And he gives some examples, but it's like that. You need good character. You need really good. What do you remember about Star Wars? Remember sure you remember the Death Star blowing up, but you remember Han, remember Luke, remember Leia. Those and again, there's another guy who is like really, really like another wise man in terms of storytelling and things, named Jack Grapes. I think his name is Jack Grapes, but I don't remember the last name, Grapes or whatever it is. But he mentioned that it's character that's the most important. Because if someone doesn't care about the character, they could care less about the story and plot.
Right.
That's kind of a downfall of the sequel trilogy. They have no characters in there. They just have like this people, just kind of this hollow amalgamation of characters. No real characters, only something illusory. But that's kind of what happened. And so you need good characters and you need good craftsmanship. And if you have those together, the artistry and the big moments and the big emotional payoffs will come naturally. But they just saw the big emotional payoffs and the big moments and said, hey, let's go with those. Those are what pay, right? But without actually giving the thought to the footwork. And I guess that's kind of interesting when you realize this is also the movie where Rey also skipped the footwork and just went straight to the Force powers. So it's kind of a good mirror to that.
Rey paid for the level up, so for the unlock.
Yeah, she paid to win powers, I guess.
Yeah.
Didn't she download that shit through the Force, and that was what was actually told to us? Like after her and Kylo.
According to that, she just downloaded all the Force powers from Kylo's brain. Like if that was possible, why even have Jedi temples? Why not just download all the stuff from the Master's brain and then you're done? Because he didn't take anything from Kylo. Kylo didn't lose anything that we saw. He saw all his Force powers, so I mean, obviously, it doesn't give you this doesn't cost anything.
Okay. Right click, copy, paste. Okay, there we go.
Exactly. Why not just do that? Why even have Jedi temples? Why not just get them when they're old, and then just have them download powers. Like, okay, you're good to go now. It took like 5 seconds.
But you don't understand. These are like fictional characters, and you can do whatever you want with them. It doesn't matter. Ray didn't have any training. You can do whatever you want. It's a fictional character.
Okay, first of all, you just hate women, and second of all, themes. Okay, themes.
Themes. That's the thing that pisses me off the most about all this shit, is that they actually believe that they can substitute a theme for actual substance, right? That people are just that stupid. People are just that ridiculous that they don't need anything to add up to make sense. For things for actions and consequences to flow organically is entirely unnecessary. It doesn't matter that Luke Skywalker force-Skyped himself to death on a rock, and that's never made it doesn't matter that that's never happened before. It doesn't make any fucking sense, and there's no reason for it to have existed. He did it, but there's an emotional payoff, guys. There's a theme.
No, there isn't.
Paid with his life. Blah 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 blah.
They don't understand that in order for there to be an emotional payoff, you have to be invested in these characters and the situation first. That's why the Obi-Wan Kenobi dying in the very first Star Wars movie ever, what was it called? A New Hope. That was emotional payoff. That was an emotional time. I remember that from a kid. I first saw that. I was like, no, I was right there with Luke Skywalker as a kid saying, no, not Obi-Wan Kenobi, because he was so cool. He was a good, absolutely a fantastic mentor. I think I mentioned this last time. Obi-Wan Kenobi is one of the best mentors, I think, of all time. And he's to this day my favorite Star Wars character for a myriad of reasons. But when he dies on the Death Star, that's an emotional payoff because we're invested in him. We like Obi-Wan Kenobi at that point. He's the only good thing in this universe as far as we've seen. Where Uncle Owen's kind of antagonistic. He's just bashing down Luke Skywalker's dreams, and then you have Darth Vader. You have the Empire destroying his family. Like the only good salvation to Luke Skywalker, as far as he's concerned, has been up to that point Obi-Wan Kenobi. He's the only one who truly understands Luke Skywalker's wants, dreams, and desires, and so we can kind of connect with that and empathize with that. And so when he dies, not only do we feel that because this is Luke Skywalker's friend and we kind of feel for him, we also know that he just lost his mentor, which is basically his safety net. He's on his own now, for better or for worse. So it's really impactful for that reason.
But don't you know, Literature Devil, that the mentor-apprentice relationship is like a construct of the patriarchy. And you're just a white male, and it's a white male, and it's inherently racist. Don't you know that? Because
it's a patriarchy, and it's evil and themes.
I just, you were talking about character and everything and plot and before. I actually had a short story writing class at that piss poor state university I went to, and the guy who was teaching it was supposedly a published author. I'm not going to mention his name, but he actually said plot is irrelevant.
Wow.
I said, what do you mean? What do you mean plot is irrelevant? Oh, it's just the interaction of all the characters. I'm like, well, yeah, but plot is what, you have to have something to strive for. The plot is what keeps everything going. Nope, plot is irrelevant. I'm like,
doesn't even make any sense.
And I'm like, how are you being paid to teach this?
He was teaching people this?
Yes.
Well, no fucking wonder everything's so sideways.
Well, plot is not irrelevant, okay? The plot is pretty important, but someone could argue that plot isn't always necessary as far as, at least see this in manga. They can do this really well. If they try to do it over here in America, it doesn't go over so well, because in order for this to work, you have to have good developed characters that people are interested in, not these empty husks that just spout the same tired, sanitized political message over and over again. So, for example, a slice of life thing, basically, they have stories in them, but they don't have the what would you call a traditional plot. There's no like terrorist to fight or bad guy to bring down. But Chuck Dixon kind of mentioned this when when he mentioned his favorite manga, which is kind of weird listening to Chuck Dixon talk about reading manga. I don't really see Chuck Dixon as a manga guy. I guess now manga and anime, everyone's a manga and anime person now. But he talks about how his favorite manga is this fishing. It's about fishing. Like just two guys fishing. That's the entirety of the manga. Just two guys fishing. That's a story. Not necessarily what we call like the traditional plot, where it's like the pulse pounding story, the pulse pounding, like they gotta kill the Death Star, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So I could see from that perspective, but you always need something. At the very base, you need something to grab onto, not just here's an emotional payoff. Well, there's no payoff because there was an investment, right? There's no investment first. So there's that perspective. I don't know where he was coming from, but if it's from like a university professor, I'm pretty sure it's like it's all subjective. It's never.
Yeah.
It's all about not this doing whatever you want at any moment in time, just so you can have a nice little payoff. Like, but it doesn't work that way.
Are you familiar with the guy, literature double? Are you familiar with a guy named Ron Friedman?
I don't think so.
Well, you're talking about cardboard cutouts before. Ron Friedman, actually, he wrote the book. He actually wrote the Transformers animated movie.
Oh,
and he worked on the original Transformers G1 series, and he wrote the first 2 miniseries of G.I. Joe. And he was actually a television writer for a long time. Worked on All in the Family, worked on Jeffersons. He worked on a lot of different television shows. So one of the things he said was, okay, when he came in to write the first G.I. Joe miniseries, he said, okay, what are the characters? I mean, we have no characters here. And he goes, oh, sure we do. But what about what is it about the characters? What makes them, what characteristics they have? Well, take a look. They're on the back of the file card, and they're reading the file card that would come with the toys. So he goes, well, okay, that's a description. That's not a character. And so he had to develop characters. And the way he did that was to break them into teams and to have them interact with each other and everything. But he said that he would say that without the characters, really, everything falls apart. I mean, you have to give the characters something to drive the story.
Right.
And okay, well, you have Cobra. I mean, they're the evil terrorist organization. Okay, they want to rule the world. Okay, how are they going to do it? They have a weather dominator. Okay, the weather dominator splits into parts. Okay, then there's the there has to be the MacGuffins kind of looked down upon, but at the same time, it's what gives the characters a reason to become these cohesive beings, and a lot is revealed through that. And I really do feel that we have the MacGuffin, and okay, everybody just goes, I'm like, oh, forget about it, and they just do whatever. I'm like, no, what about that? What happens along the way? What happens to this guy? What happens it's just I've seen more depth on a cereal box lately than I've seen in Star Wars or Star Trek or whatever. It's just astounding that they've lost sight of all this.
Yeah, it's really weird. I mean, you can compare people are. I think they're gonna do pull a Harley Quinn on Ashoka Tano eventually. But people love Ashoka Tano. She's an interesting character. But the thing is, if you follow the episodes concerning Ashoka Tano, she starts off as this greenhorn, kind of like this wet behind the ears Padawan. Like she starts off as a youngling, she becomes a Padawan. But she fails. She makes mistakes. She's unsure of herself. She gets afraid. And over the course of the Clone Wars series, you see her develop into a more confident, powerful character. She doesn't start off as a powerful, confident character. She grows into being a powerful, confident character. And her mentor is Anakin Skywalker. She even gets a mentor because as much of a professional groveler Dave Filoni kind of turned out to be, or just castrated himself live in front of a bunch of weirdos. They actually made a relatively good character of the Ashoka Tano because they gave her character development and, most importantly, a character. So they were able to play off of her. She was able to even carry her own episodes. That's how much of a well-developed character she was. Now, if you go to Rey and Finn, what's Finn's personality? Comic relief, shouting Rey 10,000 times in every episode. What's Rey's personality? Just being awesome. What's Poe's personality? I don't know.
I need a Rey button.
Like, they didn't have one. They didn't give him personality. This
didn't you know?
Into his character.
Poe's personality is he knows how to hotwire ships now, because that's not something he would have been able to know being the best pilot in the galaxy, even though Rey is now. But, he's still supposed to be sort of kind of the best galaxy. But he would never know how do you know how to do that's the stupidest shit I've ever seen in my life.
That's like lesson 1, right? But, also on that, how they try to make you more interested. This is what happened with, I think, to Kojima's credit, I do like Hideo Kojima. I think he's a mad genius, but
oh my god, you're talking Hideo Kojima. Oh my god,
he has a character called Raiden. Okay, who seems to be like a pet character of his, and unfortunately, Raiden seems to be. I mean, people like Raiden. He's fine. He's no Solid Snake, or he's definitely no Naked Snake, but he's
naked half the time in that game, though, dude.
Yeah, because he's really trying. That's what I'm saying. He's really trying to really make you like Raiden, because he really likes Raiden. And the way they do that, and Ben Yahtzee Croshaw even mentioned this. Kojima's entire quest has always been trying to force you to like Raiden by giving him more cool stuff. Like, oh, no, he's He's the new Solid Snake. Oh, he's cool and handsome and blonde, and he has all he's a cool girlfriend, and he's really awesome at fighting and everything. Oh, you don't like him still? He's a cyborg breakdancing ninja with a cool sword now. Oh, you still don't like him? Well, what's his own video game where he's even cooler now? Like this whole thing has been trying to make you like him, not by giving him less of a character, more just trying to make him cooler in your eyes.
Just put more stuff on him.
Yeah, that's kind of what they've been doing with Rey, Finn, Poe, not pretty much any new character that came out with Star Wars, Disney Star Wars. Instead of making them building up their characters more in depth, okay, it was more along the lines of, oh, you don't like him yet? Well, obviously that means they need to be cooler. Let's give Rey more powers. Let's make Poe the best pilot in the galaxy and make him like jump with the Falcon or whatever it is. And then Finn, I don't know what happened to Finn. It just kept him the same. Let's make him shout Rey more. Rey! But that's kind of what happens with them. Like, so if you look at a good character, like even Luke Skywalker, people love Luke Skywalker. He started off pretty well, and then you can compare him with Ahsoka Tano. What's in common? What does Luke Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano have in common? They're not the best when they start out. They're not cool because they're just awesome. They're cool because they started off small. They started off pretty much nobodies. And that's what you get with a lot of manga, by the way, too. Like I've shown in manga especially. They're losers. Like the main characters tend to be losers sometimes. Not all of them. Like the Fist of North Star, whatever.
That dude was badass.
They're not losers, but some of them, like My Hero Academia, begins with a character who's an absolute loser on the bottom of the social ladder. And you get that with Luke. You kind of get that with Ahsoka Tano, even though she's respected a little bit because she's a youngling or whatever. But they start off at the bottom, relatively speaking. They start off at the bottom, and then they work their way up. Their emphasis on work. They work their way up through hard work, dedication, passion, and all kinds of good virtues, heroic virtues that they had. Luke Skywalker just encountered one obstacle after the next, overcame them, eventually became a Jedi like the father before him. Ahsoka Tano started off as a greenhorn, kind of just kind of new to this whole thing, made her mistakes, overcame adversity, lost friends, experienced pain and suffering, and then betrayal even. And then eventually was strong and confident enough to venture out on her own. And then you have, adding in manga here, Deku from My Hero Academia. He starts off wanting to be a hero, has no powers. Everyone makes fun of him. Everyone thinks he's a loser because he's kind of an obsessive nerd. And then through an act of virtue and self-sacrifice, he catches the eye of one of the most powerful heroes on the planet. And the most powerful hero on the planet chooses him as a apprentice to succeed him. So these guys, it's not about being cool. It's not about being a cyborg breakdancing ninja or something. It's what we like about a character is their will, their power to overcome obstacles and to keep on going. That's a heroic virtue. Remember John Wick? Even John Wick has this. John is a man of focus.
You know what I don't understand is why, and I know we're kind of off on a tangent here, but it's kind of pissing me off the more that I think about it, which is that we've gotten all of these really great, and I'm not trying to get super feminist here. Stay with me, people. Stick with me through this. This is going to sound bad for a second, but hang with me. We've got all of these amazing, well-written male characters who have these wonderful arcs, right? Who have gone through these amazing struggles that you've got to watch them grow and fight and struggle to become someone and something better than what they were when we started our journey. And now you're all focused mad hard on women and you're fucking them. We could have had cool stories like the man folk, but that's the problem, right? Oh, women are gay. Why are you depriving women? You're saying so hard that you want to represent women. You want to do well by women, blah, blah, blah. You are fucking us hard and not in the way we enjoy. You are taking this shit and you are turning it completely fucking sideways. You are depriving us of these wonderful stories. You could have done so much, and you're sitting here calling people sexist in the meantime when all we're asking for is the same shit you've been giving to men for fucking years. And now, we're gonna go support women and believe all women and all kinds of shit like that. How are we gonna do that? We're gonna fuck up the ass really hard.
Women are just awesome. Okay, women don't really need to go through a hero's journey because women are just naturally awesome. It's men who have to develop themselves because they're stupid. Okay,
fuck.
I just want to say something really quick though. I mean, you're talking about like characters who are they start out as losers. I mean, literature devil. Are you familiar with Captain Harlock?
I don't think so.
Captain Harlock, Leiji Matsumoto's Captain Harlock. My God.
Yeah. Is that one of those legendary anime?
Oh yeah, Galaxy Express and Galaxy Express. Talk about you see his origin story. Here's a man who returned to Earth after Earth had been conquered by the Ilmidas, the alien invader. In a lot of Japanese anime, it has to deal with life under occupation. So I wonder why. So anyway,
kind of ironic.
Yeah. So anyway, he returns to Earth. They lost the war. He returns a broken man, and he rises above. I mean, he meets up with Tochiro, his engineer, who has been building a ship in secret. But he loses an eye in the process as well. So a man loses everything, and he loses part of his vision. But he perseveres, and it's the struggle which is important. Not so much in finally becoming a free man and ascending to this higher plane of being, but I can't understand why the Japanese can get it so right and Americans get so wrong. I mean, and even talking about female characters, even in manga and anime, there's a plethora of female characters that are strong female characters. Yeah,
true.
With Emeraldus, Iria, I mean, tons of them.
I'm partial to Kaoru from Rurouni Kenshin. Now that's a pretty good character. She suffers, she fails, she experiences despair, and then she works hard and practices every day, and is able to be of help and be of use. And even the author, the author's that's another subject entirely, but the work is still good. And he even said that she's practiced so much, so dedicated to her craft, and she's actually kind of like a world class. It's just that Kenshin and Sanosuke are just so powerful that she looks less powerful in comparison. But of course, she's not the main character; she's got the love interest. But they still have really good characters in manga and anime, like excellent female characters who also struggle and overcome obstacles. And because of that, that's why we like them. Also, people like them because of the big anime boobs, probably. But also the struggle. Look at the hero's journey. It wasn't Star Wars like a big phenomenon. Didn't Star Wars last decades? What was the biggest discussion on the craft of Star Wars? The hero's journey, and the hero's journey is about overcoming struggle and developing oneself.
True. Another great hero's journey. Talk about anime and manga. Princess Mononoke is actually another great hero's journey.
I need to see that. I have no excuse.
It's pretty cool.
Actually, the listeners have sent me a shitload of anime, and I've actually discovered it when cleaning out the office. Have you guys watched Yu Yu Hakusho before?
Oh yeah.
That's my favorites. I like Yu Yu Hakusho better than like Dragon Ball Z. It's for various reasons. It's really, really good. It's really clever. It's excellent. It's really interesting powers, and it's more like a difference in powers rather than just I need to get stronger to beat this next bad guy. Oh, next bad guy, I need to get stronger and beat the next. That is in there. That is in there. But it's kind of more of I need to be clever about this power I use.
You want to talk about anime with great characters? Lupin the Third.
That's my favorite.
Oh my god! I mean, you can't get more three or four divergent character archetypes. I mean, you have the Lupin, the goofball. I mean, geez, he's what can you say about him? You have the stoic samurai, Goemon. And then you have Jigen, the sharpshooter, the grizzled veteran sharpshooter. And then you have Fujiko, the on again, off again. I mean, geez, that's like a master class in how to do character and how to have four different character types and have them all work together. It really is. It's unbelievable. I mean, I'm like, really? People wrote this? Okay. And Lupin Natalia was so good. Jeez.
By the way, have you ever heard the funny? Have you heard of Herlock Sholmes?
No, actually, I haven't.
So, Lupin,
Arsene Herlock Sholmes.
Yeah, Herlock Sholmes. So Arsene Lupin, he created Arsene Lupin was French, right? I mean, the French character
I've seen the Lupin, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen Lupin, yeah. And so at the same time, there were Sherlock Holmes was becoming a big phenomenon in England. And, the rivalry between England and France. So people wanted to see the gentleman thief Lupin go head to head with Sherlock Holmes, but I think Conan Doyle said no. So instead, what happens was that the author of Lupin made a character called Herlock Sholmes, and had him go up against Lupin. It was kind of funny.
Is this the same concept as like She's a Hero? Like, is that like, am I understanding this correctly? Like, Herlock Sholmes is just a play that, okay, so it's a chick now, so.
No, it was a guy. It was a male detective. He just wanted to use, like, this is back like the 18th century, or 1800s. Like, he just wanted to use Sherlock Holmes, but Conan Doyle was like, nope. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to do it anyway. I'm going to call Sherlock Holmes Sherlock Sholmes. And
Fuck
then he's
your
going to be my
copyright.
Exactly. He cared about copyright. It was hilarious. I thought that was so funny when I first heard that story. It was great.
Now, I'm going to pull it back for a moment because I want to get us a little more on track because the audience had a bunch of questions and stuff. So, Mary, should I be nice to you or torture you?
You know, you always torture me. Let's switch it up.
Shit, yeah, we got to get paid. And on that note, we cue the music. Matt. Matt, meow.
And then he ruined He-Man.
True. Mary, I chose nicely. Don't make me regret it.
Yay.
I don't know why. Well, it's almost October, which is inventory time at Statler Toyota. It's also, my birthday month, so I'm going to be extra nice. But we have a super chat, Mary, which might not be nice to you, from our friend Cesario Japan, who says, Marcia Lucas, you're getting rid of Han Solo? No, Marcia. I have him in my basement all chained up with 3 of my friends, and we're going to make our own solo film with Twilight hookers.
I think I was going to throw up a little bit.
I mean, yeah, it is fine. Up next, our friend SH Rebels 08 says, I take a message and a Joe Rogan, please. Well, SH Rebels, you got it. So just 1 second.
Message!
The actual flag! Fuck was that?
That is... Well, Mary, black people are in films. I just didn't know if you knew that.
The giant man head on a baby, you twat waffle. What was that?
Oh, okay.
Wait,
I was like, no, Mary, we're allowed. Never mind. We'll save that for off-air discussion.
Black people are in films? Oh my god! You think the way people talk? That's never happened before.
What the fucking
Yeah,
fuck?
the way they talk, it's almost as if there was nothing in media before 2016 or something.
No, what? No. What happened in 2016? I could have changed.
It's almost as if shows and movies existed before 2016 happened. But it's kind of like, oh, this is the first black person who ever did this, and first this, first that, and then everyone always comes swarming in with, actually, this happened first, like in 2000. Here's this, and here's this. Like, actually, that's not. I heard this for Blade too. Like oh yay, Black Panther, the first black superhero. Like, hello, Blade exists. Blade is not a superhero movie. Like, really?
What the fuck is he supposed to be then?
What is it then? I thought he was.
That's exactly what I thought he was, right? Like that's how he got his powers, right? He's half vampire. That's how he got his particular power set.
I mean, he's a Marvel character.
Yeah. What is he supposed to be? What would you classify him as then? Does he have his very own category? If so, I feel like that's even more progressive than we were thinking. We're knocking down barriers we didn't even know we had to knock down. Like, what the fuck are you talking about right now?
Yeah, we were so awesome back then. Like, we were just destroying stuff we didn't know existed. It was great.
Exactly.
We also have one more for our friend SH Rebels.
Did you see that guy accidentally hit that moose with his car?
No.
Holy shit. Jamie, pull that video up.
Oh my god, oh my god. Oh my god.
Oh, man. Looks like we're having venison tonight.
Moose in Venice.
I mean, I've never eaten moose or squirrel, but I'm not going to start.
You got to cut that down shorter, Jeff. You got to cut that down to where it's just Chuck hitting the moose, and then you can slip that in more often, just quicker.
I don't know if I want to show the poor moose getting hit more often.
Well, now hold on. You're already showing it. I'm just saying. Oh, okay, but that's fine, right? Okay.
Well, that's just a guy being
this,
stupid. Okay. Hello.
That's fine.
Why are
too.
you doing this to me? Why are you doing this
Because
to
I'm
me
doing
right
it. I'm doing it for me.
You're doing it for you. All right.
Yeah. Scarlett Johansson. I mean, I don't know her personally, and I never want to, but Iron Man.
Never meet your heroes, folks. Never meet your heroes.
Yeah, I met Mary once. She was so
whatever.
mean.
I was never your hero. If anything, it was a giant step up from the shit show you thought I was. So, well.
I did hang out with Rob, and it was a lot of fun. So, no punchline coming.
Rob's one of the few people who's never let me down.
That's coming. Don't worry.
What was that? What was that?
What was what?
I could have sworn I just heard a lady's voice saying something.
Oh, you did.
Not a gay man's voice, a lady's voice, damn it.
Well, I can be quite fetching. Oh my.
I can get you a voice anytime you want. But
you know what?
You heard my voice, didn't you? Did you?
I did.
You're talking about me, all of you. You're all ists and phobes.
Our friend Music Man Zoso, thank you very much. He says, "Hey guys, I work as a security guard, and you always make my night better. You're all brutally honest and truthful. By the way, WWE sucks now. Yeah, it does suck. Music Man, I don't have that much interest in Extreme Rules this weekend to the point where I had to think to make sure that was the name of the pay-per-view. They switched all those names, and they're stupid. But I do appreciate the compliment. We all we can do is be honest, and we have a lot of fun in the process. But hope you know what, on Thursday, send us a regular message to remind me. I want to bring this up to the guys because there's been a lot of talk about what WWE is these days, and Kendo and Dion have a lot to chime in. So I think we'll give you an entertaining time at work. But thank you, man. Now, Rob, you're gonna like this message from SH Rebels 08. Buffalo Jeff versus George Takei. Go.
Oh, it seems the gauntlet has been thrown down.
Oh yeah, it has. I'm gonna throw something else
what?
down.
You guys are gonna pull this shit. I swear to Bob.
I'm gonna pull you, Mary. I'm gonna pull you all the way down.
Oh,
at warp speed, you'll have no clue what's gonna happen to you. They're never gonna find you. I'll put you in the lock.
Mary, have you
out of existence?
Have you ever heard me reading 50 Shades of Grey?
I'm not sure I have enough mental stability to deal with this shit. What is happening right now?
Oh, mental stability. Is that what they're calling it right now?
It's coming from all sides, man. You see this shit, chat? You see this shit I have to put up with? Holy hell.
Sorry, Mary.
I can put up with a lot of things.
You said you were going to be nice. I didn't do nothing.
This is me being nice. You don't know the day I had. I could, man, if I opened up and told you all the shit I had to deal with, you'd be surprised. I mean, I had to do such terrible things like make videos and fulfill books and eat Chipotle and watch Ghostbusters 2 for research. So yeah, I'm holding back. Holding back.
All right.
Stephen Kraft, thank you very much for your generous super chat. Can I become an istophobe now that we know Star Wars was effed up before my biases came into play? I think I could use a WWE-style heel turn to shake my placid life up a little. You know, Steven, I agree you could. You should research The Miz. I think he'd be a good... or go... If he wasn't in the news right now, I'd say go full Ric Flair. But, you know, there's other reasons why you can't.
Woo!
Now, we're going to get into the Marcia Lucas stuff in a moment, but I just want to ask you guys this simple question. Doesn't it feel great to have been right the whole time?
Oh, yeah. Well, we always knew, but that affirmation from the mother of Star Wars is about as validating as it fucking gets. Because you know you can't get it from George Lucas.
This is like Kelly Sue DeConnick. They actually had to finally admit it.
Shit.
I'm right so infrequently, and yeah, this does feel pretty good.
Music Man Zoho, thank you very much again, Zoso says Han shot first. Yep, he's the only one to shoot. I've been watching, I watched the scene a bunch, but somebody sent me 4K 77, and I've been watching the Cantina scene. It was better 40 plus years ago. Lucas, why did you keep giving us the middle finger? Dixon Sider, thank you very much, says, fun fact, 1 out of 6 people find Russian roulette mind-blowing. What do you think of those statistics, guys? Yeah.
Yeah.
Did I cut out? Oh, okay.
I was about to say in the chat though, Captain Edward Jellicoe, he says he met George Takei. Just a quick note. I met him at a book signing. I did my impression for his husband Brad, and he actually said that is the most accurate George Takei impression I've ever heard. So he says it's uncanny. I'm like, oh, there you go, right from the person who'd know.
Now we have a super generous super chat from our friend Leonardo da Vinci who says, "Ding dong, the witch is dead." Not really, but I'll take it. Hail, WCBS. Been gone a while, thanks to the China pox, but good now. I lived. Well, Leonardo da Vinci, we're happy to have you back and healthier than ever. Well, hopefully healthier than ever. But yeah, Kathleen Kennedy, while she's still there at Lucasfilm, and it's going to take a lot more than embarrassment to get her gone, but let's use that as the perfect transition because the Oscar-nominated a-hole has an excellent super chat that I want to spend some time discussing, but this is the perfect time to talk about tonight's main event. I know it took us a while to get there, but we went off on 1,000,001 tangents because tonight there is a palpable electricity and excitement in the air, confirmation. You know, when you're a Star Wars fan, you're not just a Star Wars fan for 5 minutes, you're a Star Wars fan for life. It's a lot like being in the NWO. And if you're like me, you've been watching Star Wars change for a long time. Back in 2005, we had reached the natural conclusion. Revenge of the Sith and all was well. It was a fine film. I'd say it's a really great film. I enjoy it a lot. But Star Wars was over. It was done. Balance had been restored. And then in 2008, Lucasfilm and Company gave us The Clone Wars, which in my opinion, I don't know if galvanized is the right word, but basically solidified the prequel era as having a lot of quality and really building up the world. So by that metric, I thought Star Wars had really balanced itself out. The prequels now had value. They continued to build the world. The original trilogy was over, and we were in this happy place. But in 2012, October 30th, I believe, of 2012, there was a great disturbance in the Force. Yeah, we'll use that kind of language for tonight. And Disney bought Lucasfilm. And from that moment on, Star Wars and the world, well, they've gotten shittier every passing day. But let's take it back to the top of this story. Simple yes or no, and we'll start with our guest, Literature Devil. Yes or no, do you like the Star Wars sequel trilogy?
Absolutely not. It's terrible. It's awful. It's actually empty husks. Just kind of, I don't know. You the kind of I don't know, Buffalo Bill. You ever heard that guy? That makes a skin suit. It's a skin suit, like a woman's skin suit. It's kind of like that. Like just a Star Wars skin suit. They kind of painted it up, put some makeup on it. Where it kind of looks like Star Wars, but not really. Like it's like a skin suit. Like it's kind of disturbing. That's what it feels like to me.
Mary, I don't really need to ask, but I'm going to. Do you like the sequel trilogy? Okay, I'm gonna go with no. Rob,
is there a word that's stronger for no?
Hell
no.
Maybe.
Hell fucking no. Hell fucking no. I mean, I've been searching for a word that fits, and so far the English language. I would rather. Oh, I can't really. Well, okay. I would say I would rather have a Tabasco enema than have to watch the sequel trilogy again.
I just puckered up a lot, so I'm not going to think about a Tabasco enema, and I'm just going to say no. I don't like the Disney Star Wars sequel films. Take a guess. Which one I hate the most. But recently, I mean this past Sunday, I was alerted to the news just like everyone else. I'd like to give a shout out to a local listener. I won't say who you are, but thumbs up to you for helping me find out the news. And so I read this quote, the quote that we're about to talk about from Marcia Lucas, as Mary put it, the mother of Star Wars. I thought that was a really good way to describe her, Mary, because I read the foreword to this book. I actually bought Howard Kazanjian's book because there's a lot of information that you can get from these books, especially when they're so open with putting, I won't say smear words in there, but honesty. Anyway, long story short, I bought this book. I'm excited to dig into it. But Marcia Lucas had a lot to say. And when I heard her scathing words about Kathleen Kennedy's contributions to Star Wars, as well as J.J. Abrams, I chuckled. Before we tell what those words are, let me get a nice image of Kathleen Kennedy up here on the screen. I think she's done a piss poor job as the president of Lucasfilm every Star Wars movie under her thumb has found a way to suck more than the one that came before it in a different way. It was a downward slope, and now we're here. We have the people that made Star Wars coming out to dunk on Star Wars.
It was impressive, wasn't it? How many different ways she found to fuck it up.
Yeah.
Like every single one.
Impressive. If you can detach yourself emotionally enough to look at it like objectively in that way, it's impressive how many different ways she found to fuck up Star Wars. Hashtag Soul Leslie.
Even if Disney bought it and just did nothing with it, just sat on it, Star Wars would still be better off than it is today. Just release like another like box set of anniversary. Oh yeah, you're so true. But Frank Marshall must be like
Superman.
Yeah, he must be. I picture Frank Marshall as the most chill dude ever. She's coming home from the office. Oh, I can't believe what I have to put up with. Oh my God. And he's just sitting by the pool like, hey, honey, how was work today? With a drink in his hand, just like laughing at her.
And do you think she wishes people would refer to her as the mother of Star Wars? Do you think that she fancies herself that important?
No. I actually don't have a decent idea of her psyche. I just think she's a person who is in over her head. I've always used this point of reference for my take on Kathleen Kennedy, and it's the documentary The Director and the Jedi, the one that exposes why The Last Jedi was such a piece of shit film. And the take I get from her on her is she's in a room of dumb creative people, and she's trying to keep up with dumb creative people who don't realize they're dumb.
You'd think with as much time as she spent around really, really intelligent, really brilliant creative people, she could tell the difference.
Well,
Mary, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was about to say, her only creative thing was, remember with that interview with Spielberg, and when he said that she wasn't good at her job, she couldn't type very well, but she knew how to interrupt, and she said about Raiders of the Lost Ark, well, maybe he doesn't get the girl, but he gets the dog. I'm like, that's the level of creative thinking she has.
Jesus, Lord love a duck. You think she's always been this way?
I think. Oh yeah.
They should have retorted with, "Hey, just stick to fetching the coffee, okay?" Man talk.
I'm of the frame. She was in the right place at the right time. She owes her entire career to timing, and glomming onto the talents of generational talented directors.
See, people don't understand that this has been such a big game of politics. The internal politics in these companies, where people who have no business doing this stuff fail upward, is so insanely bizarre to me at this point. And I saw this really wonderful why you wouldn't survive Jurassic World video yesterday, and it sort of was weird how it relayed to me the concept of what's her face, the redhead, Ron Howard's daughter shouldn't have been running that shit, right? Bryce Dallas Howard, Bryce Dallas Howard, even though she should have had no business running this stuff, she was great at the PR stuff, right? And that was why she was put in that position, because even though she had no familiarity with these animals and how they needed to be maintained and how they needed to be restrained, right? And it was all about the money for them. She was in the right place at the right time, and she played the right politics. And the people who could actually do the job were such failures at the political aspect of it. And I'm talking about the internal affairs, political stuff, like not outward Republican Democrat bullshit. I'm talking about just the in-game politics, right? Yeah. That the people who really deserved those jobs were passed over because they were too busy focusing on what they should have been focusing on, which was how to handle shit, right? And so they didn't bother themselves or worry themselves with these in-house politics, and so they never got the jobs, even though they were the ones that the good Chris's character, his name, Chris Pratt. Even though he would have been the guy to have run the facility, right? He would have been the one to keep the maintenance in terms of the security, the padlocks, the fences, and how to keep these dinosaurs in line. He's the guy you want in charge of that. He never got that opportunity because he didn't know how to play those in-house politics. And so I feel like that's a really great representation of how shit actually works in Hollywood, is that somebody can get really great at playing the in-house politics and have no fucking clue how to do their job.
It's kind of the opposite of what happens as far as I've read in the manga industry, where the guy who made JoJo with JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, he's like, it was really tough getting in. Like you had to, in order to succeed as a manga creator, you had to win. Like basically, you can see the other way, but a good way to succeed as a manga creator is by winning a contest and getting your piece in Shonen Jump. And the editors were harsh. Like the editors were brutal. He says like they would reject you by just looking at your first panel and say nope. Next, and then he even goes out to say that people were just leaving in tears because of how badly they got rejected. And he even says that even people who have been published before don't necessarily get a guaranteed spot. They get rejected just like everybody else. They have to continue producing good quality stuff.
Well, do you remember a guy named Jim Shooter who used to be editor-in-chief of Marvel?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I mean, people criticize Jim Shooter for Secret Wars, but Jim Shooter was notoriously a hard ass, and he was the same way. And I maintain this to. I've said this before. I'll keep saying it, and I'll keep saying it until things change. If you put new warriors on Jim Shooter's desk, he would say to you, "I tell you to go create new characters. Is this what you give me? Get out of, go back and do it again. If you don't have something better on my desk by 5 o'clock, you're fired." I mean, and that's the thing. There's no accountability under her. People fail; they keep getting work. She is the poster child for failing upwards.
Like
she really is.
But exactly. I think
we'll get to Star Trek. We'll get to Star Trek.
I think even EBS kind of mentioned this a long time ago with that famous comic he did where he hid sex on every page, the word sex on every page. Where he was like having trouble with the editors. The editors were just lying to him and they're being smarmy and everything. Oh, you're doing great. And then he heard like the upper guy was like, "This is awful. What are you talking about? It's awful." And so he kind of wanted to get back at these editors. And so there's like a famous thing. I forgot which comic book it was, but he hid the word sex on every page. This is test the editors, and it went through. It got published, and it became like a little phenomenon. Those editors were eventually fired. I'm not really sure for that reason, but they were eventually, I think, fired. But that was one of his clapbacks because these editors were just rubber stamp everything. They say, "Oh, you're great, you're wonderful, you're fantastic." If you're an editor, you have to be harsh. You have to be because as the JoJo creator said, the harshness of the editors was there because they were not treating you as a novice. They're treating you as the professional you aspire to be. Mm-hmm. So once you could meet that standard, you knew you were getting closer, or you have met the quality that they were looking for in anybody, like as a standard level of quality. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Well, and if you don't desire to be treated that way, then you don't fucking belong here, right? Like if that's not what you want out of the atmosphere around you, if you don't want people to look at you and assume that you are competent and capable of handling your shit, then why the fuck are you here? Why do you want this? Why are you doing this, right? Like, and I'm not saying that every person in this world has to pursue a passion project for their life's work, right? Like, obviously men who are working in sewers and sewage treatment systems aren't pursuing a life's goal. They're making good money doing shit work, right? Literally. But if you're doing something like Star Wars, you better damn well want to be here.
I'm sorry, chat. I'm having too much fun at your expense with all the eye torture. Let me get Kathleen Kennedy off screen. Now, let me take this time to actually wind us back to the story, because a lot of us do know, but for those listening in the future or those who have just joined us tonight to get their news and entertainment from us, let's give you the story. I'm going to take advice from my good friend Ethan Van Sciver and paint you a little picture. So let's take it back. Star Wars editor Marcia Lucas slams Kathleen Kennedy, J.J. Abrams, in the sequel trilogy. They don't get it. Folks, before we start, when I read this, I felt like I woke up in the Twilight Zone. But that episode of the Twilight Zone where the man wakes up and he has a new wife at the end and she's hot, she's hotter than she was before. That's how I feel. Like the world is better than when I went to sleep. So Marcia Lucas, the Oscar-winning editor of the original Star Wars, wasn't very happy with Disney's sequel trilogy. She said producer Kathleen Kennedy and director J.J. Abrams don't get it, and the storylines are terrible. In an interview for J.W. Rinsler's book, Howard Kazanjian, A Producer's Life, which examines the prolific producer's life, including his time on the Star Wars franchise. And here's the quote from the book. You guys ready for this?
Please.
I'll read it just like this, Mary.
You know what? I need your help here for one fucking second, Jeff.
I got your back, Mary. You ready? I like Kathleen. Okay, so we're going to start with the part that's hard to read. I like Kathleen. I always liked her. She was full of beans. She was really smart and really bright, really wonderful woman. Okay, so that was the hard part to get through. And I liked her husband, Frank. I liked them a lot. Now that she's running Lucasfilm and making movies, it seems to me that Kathy Kennedy and J.J. Abrams don't have a clue about Star Wars. They don't get it. And J.J. Abrams is writing these stories. When I saw the movie where they kill Han Solo, I was furious. I was furious when they killed Han Solo. Absolutely, positively, there was no rhyme or reason to it. I thought, you don't get the Jedi story. You don't get the magic of Star Wars. You're getting rid of Han Solo, Lucas says in the book. Now, if you don't know who she is, she served as an editor on Star Wars, for which she won an Oscar for the film in 1977, and she worked on Return of the Jedi, and she was an uncredited editor on The Empire Strikes Back. Lucas was credited with editing the thrilling Battle of Yavin and the Death Star assault sequences in the first film of the trilogy. So
she's the reason you got what you got, basically. Well, I mean, there was more than her, but there's this wonderful little short documentary on Star Wars saved in the edit. Star Wars owes everything to this woman. There is no franchise in any universe if she's not in it. If she doesn't exist, if she doesn't do what she did to piece something coherent out of that shit show of footage, you don't have Star Wars. You owe this woman everything. There is no better title than the mother of Star Wars. She is the reason you have what you have.
Yeah. This is the video, folks, you guys should be checking out, how Star Wars was saved in the edit, because it goes to tell you just how much of what makes Star Wars comes from that. And if you want to check it out, we have interviews with Richard Chu, who edited Star Wars. Jesse interviewed him. I've been on streams with him. So I will drop the link in just a second. Let me pull that up. And you could check out, us talking to the editor of Star Wars. It's a surreal thing. And he tells all kinds of crazy stories about, all those problems. So up next, let's keep moving. Where were we at? Sorry, I went to click on a tab to get stuff up visually, and it just it threw me off. So, Literature Devil, we'll start with you. What were your thoughts when you heard this quote?
Yes, finally. I mean, it's this validation. Like, yes, this is true. I mean, my first thought was this is the same thing that Star Wars fans have been saying for years now, the truth. And then getting called racist and sexist and whatever they want to call you these days. But again, it's always funny to see, like, people, this is so blatant to everyone. So the failure is so blatant to everyone that's why everyone is seeing it, and that's why everyone is saying it. But it's like the I don't know, this specific group of people who say, no, it's doing great, it's amazing, it's wonderful, it's better than ever. But everyone who's like an actual fan of Star Wars, who's been Star Wars for like decades, Star Wars fans for decades, like a lot of them, maybe not everyone, but a lot of them who grew up with Star Wars, a lot of them who were fans of Star Wars, who understood Star Wars, who enjoyed it, who enjoyed the story of Star Wars, they were all like, this is terrible. This is not how you treat Han Solo. And it's like, oh, the fictional character, you do whatever you want. Well, yeah, that's technically true. But once you have characters like Han Solo, Luke Skywalker, and Princess Leia, these legacy characters, you have to remember the people who are reading this stuff, and you can't really just kill them for no reason, because these are heroes. These are heroes of your story, and if you have to kill them off, you have to kill them off for a reason, and you have to kill them off for like a satisfactory reason. And it's kind of like I think Alan Moore once said that you're talking about something else. We're talking about the writing profession in general. Is that it's important to know and to acknowledge and to remember who had come before. Basically, to remember the tradition of writing, because tradition of writing, it has traditions and rules for a reason. And one of these rules is that from the very beginning, like the caveman stories, you treat heroes well. You treat heroes extravagantly. And these heroes did amazing things. And if they died in a grand manner. And because Star Wars is built off of that, it's built off of the hero's journey, it's built off of more simplistic storytelling, good versus evil, all this stuff. Then you also have to make sure that you treat these characters correctly. You have to remember the tradition and the legacy of Star Wars. And that's one thing they didn't do. That's one thing she mentions in her statement here.
What's really crazy to me is that we spent all this time, we were accused of so much. We were told that we were gatekeepers, that we were sexist, regardless of the fact that you had women long-term, like honestly, every long-term, you could divide it. It was really easy to figure out who'd been a long time Star Wars fan if you were a female. And I hate to bring it back to that, but that's what this whole thing started over, right? Was that it was all about sexism. You could really easily draw the line of where people stood on this, right? And we were called sexists and ists and phobes and all sorts of things. And we were told that we were gatekeeping, and they misunderstood that when we said that we were real fans, right? That we were the real fans. And this obviously, I think, reinforces that notion, because turns out the mother of Star Wars agrees with us, that when we said that we were the real fans, it wasn't that we meant that you couldn't be a real fan. It's just that having given so much of our lives and our time and our energy to this particular franchise, keeping the franchise alive while you didn't even know what the fuck this was, while we were devoting our time and our money and our resources to these properties, to this property, and you were just a gleam in your daddy's eye, we were carrying the torch. And Marcia tends to agree with us. Yeah, we're the real fucking Star Wars fans. It's not that you can't be, right? It's not that you can't be. It's that you showed the fuck up and you proclaimed yourself to be Star Wars fans, when the people who had been there, I mean, if not since the beginning, certainly, certainly in a meaningful way, carrying the torch and supporting it monetarily, that you showed up. And you ransacked the place, and you took everything, and you torched it, and you burnt it to the ground. And we were sitting there going, stop, this is a thing that we love, and we would like to continue loving this thing. We want it to continue to exist so that we can continue to love it and give it our money and all of these wonderful things. We were the real fans, and Marcia would agree with us. Even if she didn't say it in so many words, she echoes our sentiment. We love this thing as it was. Right? And that's not that you can't add to that, but you can't torch what was already there and call it Star Wars.
Well, yeah, exactly. To me, so stories, a good story contains honesty. And one thing that means is that the writer does not tell you how to think and feel. Like as Neil Gaiman put it, I will write the death of a unicorn, but I'm not going to tell you how sad that unicorn's death is. I'm going to write the unicorn, and I'm going to let you feel how you want to feel about it. Now, that's kind of not what we get now, because the thing is, to me, a good story, a good, honest story, is less of a dictation. It's less of a lecture and more of a conversation you're having with the audience. You tell a story, and the audience will receive it the way they want to receive it. They'll look into it, and they'll take away from it what they want to take away from it. And you're conversing with them instead of telling them what to think and feel. That's how you know it's a good story. That's part of what you have to keep in mind as a writer. And also, on that note, from a fan's perspective, on the fans' side of this, a fan, to me, a baseline for a fan, like an actual fan, is not necessarily knowledge, but it's passion. It's passion for the thing you're passionate about. Like, so you're passionate about Star Wars. You will likely, like a side effect of that is knowledge. You'll read into it. I can't get enough Star Wars. I still love this thing so much. You'll love what's there. You're not the type to come in there and say, I love Star Wars, I just want to change everything about it. That's not exactly how it goes. Why so many people, men and women together, like Luke Skywalker, because they like what's there. They like the story that's presented. I'm a fan of Star Wars, I just want to change all this stuff. I just wish he was female. That sort of no, that's not how that goes. A Star Wars, an actual fan of something, to me, is someone who's passionate, and with that passion comes also respect. And a fan will also have passion for that gets them into it. They love it. They're so hungry for this franchise, and because they're passionate, they respect, no matter who they are, men, women, whatever. They respect the legacy of it, and it's a natural connection, a natural result of that passion that they have. Because if you're passionate about something, you love something so much, you respect it. It just comes with the territory. So when you have these fans coming in saying, "I love Star Wars. I'm such a Star Wars fan. I'm such a Star Wars fan," and they say, like, I just love the fact that Rey is so awesome. Like, if you think Rey is awesome and a good character, then you were not a Star Wars fan. You don't understand what Star Wars is. because the story, the baseline of everything, you boil it all down. The story of Star Wars is about a regular guy like Luke Skywalker living on a backwater planet who becomes the hero of the galaxy through hard work, dedication, and passion of his own. That's the story of Star Wars. It's a hero's journey. It's why it's so incredible. And it's the flavoring are the gun battles and the ships and the evil empire and the simplistic storytelling of good versus evil and the son versus dad. It's great. It's wonderful. It's fantastic. So when you have fans coming in there and saying, "Oh, Rey is wonderful. I love having it's all about themes and all great. Look, awesome. Isn't that awesome? That's Luke Skywalker's dad." Like, no. You don't understand. This is why so many Star Wars fans, like actual Star Wars fans, are so upset, because these sequel trilogy not only did these characters wrong, but they actively disrespected the characters and crushed that legacy that everyone fell in love with in the first place.
You know what I love about that excerpt from the book is where she's trashing it. She's absolutely trashing this. Like it's no holds barred. She calls it garbage, right? Like she sits there and she absolutely says that he doesn't have a clue, right? And then at the end of all of it, because she didn't hold back. I have to wonder how long she held that. Well, I know how long she held that in. But I have to wonder, or I have to feel a sense of pride, because at the end she still gets really amicable and she says, "Look, get it, talk to me, right? J.J. Abrams, Kathleen Kennedy, talk to me, right? Set your pride aside for 2 seconds, all right, and come talk to me. I can help you. I can fix this." Yeah, that's so classy.
The class.
well, and it's classy too. It's incredibly classy for her to set that out there. Like, look, you're making mistakes, and if you're an adult, look, there's such a thing as constructive criticism. She sprinkles a little bit of kindness in there. I've always liked Kathleen Kennedy, and I won't mutter my musings as to whether or not I think that's true or not. That's not something I could make any informed commentary on. But she puts it in there, right? Like, it's not like she's so harsh that you couldn't recognize this for what it is, which is constructive criticism. She's harsh, but she's not mean, right?
Well,
and those are
it's
two
so
different
good
things.
to hear, though.
Oh, it's very good to hear and very affirming and validating for all of the time, energy, love, effort, work that we've been putting into trying to get this. Like, dude, just fucking talk to us, right? She puts it out there. How are you going to say no to that, Kathleen? How do you say no to that?
And you know, the best part of it is it's criticism, but it's coming from a woman. So you can't say you're just a bunch of sexists. You're a sexist. You're an ist. You're a no. It's coming from a woman who is a legend in the industry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I mean, there's no way you could refute that.
They'll never acknowledge it.
No,
they'll never even acknowledge it.
No, they won't acknowledge it. But there's no way you can have any sort of meaningful pushback against it.
And they can't acknowledge it because of meaningful pushback, right? Because they don't have that. That's the act of a coward. That's how you know when you're dealing with a coward. When they won't look at something in the eyeball, when they won't deal with it and address it. This woman is coming out and she's saying, these are the facts, right? Like, this is what it is. It's garbage. And I'm telling you that it can be better. So talk to me, right? The fact that they'll never even look at it. They won't address it. They won't even hint at it, right? They can't, because if they were to address it or come to the table with her, they would have to admit that they are wrong, at least if they wanted to have any measure of honesty, right? And so I think they're probably not stupid enough to actually say something outright to try to slam her or disrespect her, because they would hear no end of it from people, right? Because you can't with her. She is everything that you purported yourselves to be, right? And so they can't slam back against her. So they will do what a coward does. They will ignore it. They will pretend it doesn't exist. And if it gets brought to them, which it won't, because media will never, ever try to pitch them this kind of a fastball, right? They'll never address it. And if they were ever put in a position to where they were forced to address it, they'd be like, oh, I don't know what that is. Oh, I'm sure she's a lovely person. We did our best, but they would sidestep the hell out of it. And then they would avoid discussing it altogether.
I think Jeff's trying to tell us something.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I want to talk about this quote, though, because all of the social engineering to get us to buy into the new versions, the new branded versions of old characters, isn't working. And basically, Marcia Lucas, like we said at the beginning of the show, is reaffirming what we've been saying for such a long time. But I want to know what you guys think is J.J. Abrams' part in all of this, because I know it's fun to talk about Kathleen Kennedy because she's the worst. That chick is dumb. Okay. She doesn't get the creative process. She understands money and other things. And she's assistant to Mr. Lucas or Mr. Spielberg on some of these movies. Good for you, lady. It's like if Bill Gates picked the fucking janitor to run Microsoft. It's not a good idea. So that's where we are with this. But J.J. Abrams is mentioned by name, and I have more problems with J.J. Abrams than we tend to talk about because we go for the top, the president, Kathleen Kennedy, and she's responsible. But some of these ridiculous ideas do come from J.J. Abrams. And I think he needs to be held accountable for a lot of this because he is the man that not only ruined Star Wars, but Star Trek. Now he's got to deal with DC and HBO Max for their streaming stuff. This guy could be the one that fucks up DC more than Zack Snyder. And then maybe they'll let him close out his career with a nice stint at Marvel. This guy is like all four of the Horsemen of the Apocalypse. Can you think of a franchise that J.J. Abrams gets involved with and it gets better?
Oh, God. He fucks everything he touches.
No, I can't. I can't think of something he's done that's original. I really can't.
I've looked into him for years. We've talked about him here on the channel. Not that interesting of a guy. His work, not that interesting of work. Why? Because you've seen it before every time. Oh, what about Super 8? Yeah, I saw the Goonies. I saw Monster Squad. I saw these other kind of kids movies. Yeah, but it's different. What about this? Yeah, I saw that too 30 years ago. So the guy is great at a rehash artist. I wonder how responsible he is for what we got in terms of the reboot, because The Force Awakens is great, this and that. That's fine if you enjoy it, but let's not act like it's his wholly original film, folks. Since 2015, we've been calling it's a remake of Star Wars. We could go beat by beat. Desert Planet, Alien Cantina, Death Star Trench Run. The list goes on and on. It's a rehash, but that's where J.J. Abrams comes in. And I think a lot of people are so blind with Kathleen Kennedy hatred, and rightly so. She's the worst. But I think the more interesting conversation comes from J.J. Abrams because he's the bad seed in all of this that kind of poisons the well. He's the guy that can be, well, let's do this and let's do that because he's had financial success. They looked at Star Trek and those movies made money. And so some of those ridiculous ideas, the 25% differences and stuff that we've been talking about for years, those are Mr. Abrams. So, Rob, when J.J. Abrams was announced as attached to Star Wars, as a Star Trek guy, what were your first thoughts?
I thought originally he'd been jockeying for the Star Wars gig for a long time, and those Star Trek films were just his test reel for Star Wars, and at first, the 2009 movie, I didn't hate immediately. I was like, okay, you know what? Let's see what you got. I'm like, all right, not bad. Kind of immediately forgot about it. But when I heard he was announced to be the director of the first Star Wars movie episode for The Force Awakens or whatever it was called, that's how bad it is. I forgot what it was called for a second.
Lucky you.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. I want one of those Men in Black devices just so I can forget all of them. But I said, you know what? Okay, probably the right guy for the job if you want to revitalize the franchise in a hurry. Long term, not so much. Because if you notice everything with him, it's a sugar high. That's all it is. You get this quick boost of enthusiasm, and then it quickly wears off, and you're left with the hangover. And he's a cultural locust. Him and Alex Kurtzman. Oh, no, don't get me started on him. Alex Kurtzman. They're cut from the same cloth. Yeah, they used to work together. They called Alex Kurtzman the Hollywood secret weapon. Why? Because it's like a bomb. He goes off and destroys everything. The only man that can make a franchise disappear faster than J.J. Abrams is Alex Kurtzman, his underling. And you look back on those Star Trek movies, there's a lot of really questionable stuff. Because, okay, why would you build a starship? I mean, you see the same things repeated. Ships moving in the atmosphere that aren't designed to. Ships rising out of the water. I mean, there's a lot of really questionable stuff. And he doesn't know how to finish anything. He sets everything up. He doesn't know how to finish. You ever see that TED Talk with J.J. Abrams?
Sadly.
The freaking mystery box.
The mystery box. The mystery box. What's in it?
That thing.
What's in it? Doesn't matter. Nothing. It's a mystery box.
It's nothing. It's nothing there. There's no payoff.
There's in season 2 Community for their second season Christmas episode, Abed's Uncontrollable Christmas. They had the perfect metaphor for J.J. Abrams. They go to the North Pole. It's all done like a Rankin Bass, like stop motion animated special, like Rudolph Red-Nosed Reindeer. They go to Santa's workshop. Abed finds the meaning of Christmas. He opens it. It's a copy of Lost, the first season of Lost on DVD. Is that the meaning of Christmas? No. It's the first season of Lost on DVD. Represents lack of payoff. That's it, right? Lack of payoff. Everything with him is lack of payoff.
Well, I think the problem is with J.J. Abrams, because I don't actually mind the notion of a mystery box. I think it's inherently interesting, right? But that's the problem, is that's all it is. It's the very surface topical level of, oh, so this is interesting, with no ability to follow through, like you were saying, right? There's no ability to pay off. And so the mystery box has become a meme. It's become a joke because inside the mystery box is nothing. It's literally just that. It's just a box with some pretty wrapping paper on it, and inside is utter disappointment. Mm-hmm. And so that's the reason why everybody laughs and jokes about it, is because there's nothing of substance or of value behind it. Do I love presents that are surprises that get wrapped up in pretty bows? Yeah, as long as what's inside was worth my time. Otherwise, it's a complete and utter letdown. It's no different than the subversion of expectations that Rian Johnson throws out there. And so what I don't understand is why he thinks that is adequate. What it was about his experience. I mean, I suppose money, right? Because people are easily duped. But at some point, that's got to catch up, right?
Well,
yeah, the like button consented. You should fondle it. It likes you.
With J.J. Abrams, though, he represents. Let me take it back and say it like this. We now live in the middle of what J.J. Abrams created in terms of this. I don't want to say disposable pop culture, because everyone can argue all pop culture is disposable. But we have a new low, this gray, murky area. If you want to talk about creativity, we are very far from creativity. Mm-hmm. And what J.J. Abrams has done is basically bring in the branding identity thing, where it's basically, it doesn't matter what you do with it, as long as that husk, that shell is the brand, you can do anything. And I think that's what J.J. Abrams really contributes to cinema. You take, like you said earlier, it's a skin suit. All these new properties are skin suits. The new Space Jam is a skin suit of what was once before. You can say it's a husk. You can say it's a lifeless shell. However you want to say it. That's what everything is. And I think J.J. Abrams is the man responsible for ushering in this era, because of the great success, in quotation, and the excitement that people really brought with his work. He was associated, or sorry, he was tied to like 3 really important things, and people still can't get over that shit. He was tied to Lost. He was tied to Cloverfield and other shit. Great, but you didn't direct that stuff. So,
well, one of the things though, and this is a great quote from him. I mean, you can actually find this somewhere on YouTube. J.J. Abrams was, after he directed the first Star Trek movie, the 2009 movie, he was on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. And he said, you know, he wasn't a fan of Star Trek. He always found it too philosophical. He found it too intellectual. And so he never really appreciated it. And Jon Stewart famously said, yeah, I stopped listening when you said I didn't like Star Trek. And I'm going to assume you just apologized after that. So, but that's what it is. J.J. Abrams is I don't want to call him an anti-intellectual, but there is no there. There's nothing upstairs. Everything is just empty-headed action.
What does he give value to? He doesn't give value to the intellectual part. Well, I wouldn't say an intellect, but the deeper themes, I guess you could say, the deeper aspects and territories that Star Trek kind of explored. And they didn't do it. And yeah, sometimes they went a little political, but when Star Trek usually explored it, when Star Trek was at their best, exploring these deeper ideas, and what people would eventually call intellectual or cerebral, they did it in a way that isolated the ideas apart from politics. Like, one of my favorite episodes of all time is Measure of a Man. It's not about like it made today. It'd probably be like some like LeVar Burton. Like, they probably get like, if it was made today, it probably wouldn't be about Data. It'd be about like Geordi, and it's like, oh, there's racism on the board of the Enterprise somehow. Like, no racism exists, but they gotta have to add it back in there just to have their masturbatory episode. But today it would probably be about Jordy or something. Yes, but when the way they did it was about Data, which was about not someone who was not even human, but someone who was this machine. And the idea was that the idea was some people were seeing him like for scientific research, for all intents and purposes, he was not a human. He was a machine. He was property of the Federation. And the other side of that was, he's not. He's a person. He's a living creature who has sentience, and he's not a property. And he's not property. So the whole clash over it was about what makes a human, what makes Data, this machine, this android, a human person, or someone who could be considered to be a life form, a unique life form of the universe that has his own rights and can make his own choice to not subject himself to the experiment that Maddox was going to put him under that might destroy him.
Our mission is to seek out new life. Well, I tell you, there it sits. You know, that famous line that Patrick Stewart said,
Well, and the reason that resonates so well with people is because it tends to take you out of your comfort zone. How do you get it across to someone who's never considered, like, how do you get the concept of racism across to someone? Well, you present someone that they haven't considered fully human, that they don't deem the same as themselves, right? That there's this disconnect with, right? You present that to them. How do you make that kind of an impact? You have to go to that level. You have to actually extend yourself to this uncomfortable place. Is Data life or not, right? So that's how you convey this concept. And so that's something deep, and it's something understood by the writers in that moment. But like, you're right. You're so right, Lit. They would have flipped it to Jordy or someone with this topical surface thing that they can point at and then seal clap themselves into a tizzy, right? Like that's how they do it these days. They don't understand what it is. It's so fucking ridiculous. But I loved Next Generation. My dad watched it.
God.
It was something that we watched every week in my house. I don't claim to be a savant, but I really did love Next Generation and Voyager growing up. Those were the shows, the Star Wars or Star Trek that I was particularly close to. And it's true. You get it across in a way. I can breathe a lot. You get it across in a way that makes the person step outside of that comfort zone, right? You present this as this novel idea, which is somehow both amazingly engaging and thought-provoking simultaneously. Star Trek was the smart guy Star Wars, right?
I prefer Star Trek. It kind of goes into more nerdy territory, which is why it has the worst, like, nerdier stigma, I guess, because it goes into the stuff. It's not as action heavy. But I really loved it. My favorite quotes is from Picard. When he was like lecturing Wesley. First of all, he was lecturing Wesley because Wesley was in trouble. That was pretty much gold. I mean, Wesley's awful, but he's like, the first duty of every Starfleet officer is to the truth, whether it's scientific truth, historical truth, or personal truth. It's a guiding principle on which Starfleet is based. Which Starfleet was pretty based back then. And if you can't find it within yourself to stand up and tell the truth about what happened, you don't deserve to wear that uniform. Like, what a great. Now that's a message I was looking for. That's a message that we should be instilling into shows, and that's a real message.
Yes,
it's not about right or left wing, right wing, whatever crap that is. It's not about white, black, or it's not about past bigotry. It's about things like this. What Stanley would call a universal truth, a universal idea, a universal virtue that everyone can find value in. And then because if you instill these kinds of values into a populace, if we tell people that this is the good stuff, this is what you should be going for. You should always tell the truth. As Jordan Peterson says, don't lie, tell the truth. If people act that way, then as Neil Gaiman says, good craft will eventually lead to art. Good morals will eventually lead to less bigotry, less hatred, less prejudice. Because if everyone is operating on, the first duty is to truth, any kind of truth. You're going to stand up and tell the truth. If you're going to stand up and defend somebody, because you're going to explore the humanity, even if they're not actually human. If you're an android like Data, then the virtue will lead to a better world naturally. You don't have to force it in there. You don't have to say, hey, did you know this is bad? No, you instill good virtue. It will eventually lead to good people and a good society, or a better one at least.
Play that out and practice it out, and people can tell. Here's the thing that I think people have lost connection with, is that you can tell when you interact with people, and I'm not saying everybody's a perfect judge of character, but when something is real, when something is genuine, when something hits you in that certain kind of way, and you know what I'm talking about, when it hits you and it touches you in that right spot, you can tell. That was why people gravitated so strongly towards figures like Jordan B. Peterson, because, and I'm not trying to like make this political or whatever, but like that's why people gravitate to those types of people, because you can tell that there's sincerity and honesty, and when they live out what it is that they're standing behind, what it is that they preach, as it were, right? Like you can tell when there's a realness there and a truthfulness to it. People can see that.
One of the things that J.J. Abrams always places aesthetics over any kind of substance. I mean, again, going back to the Star Trek movies he directed, everything is very big. Nothing really makes sense. Nothing fits. On a starship, you have space is at a premium. You want to try to cram in as much stuff into a small amount of space because obviously it's got to be pressurized and there's danger. No, he has the huge freaking Anheuser-Busch. Oh God, that face. The most punchable man in Hollywood, really. But anyway, you want to get as much equipment into the small amount of space. I mean, he filmed some of the scenes in the Anheuser-Busch brewery in St. Louis. I mean, what are these big, huge brass and stainless steel tanks doing in the middle of a starship? What function do they have? And
they're the toilet, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You don't like pressurized shit?
No.
That's what the Abrams Star Trek movies are, pressurized shit. It's a substance going through the pipes.
That's right, yeah. Oh, God. And like I said, I guess I'm sorry.
What all this does is lower the bar for... I don't want to... But like this, it just makes everybody dumber because we just watch movies that are lesser than what came before. I hate to be that guy, but go back and watch the movie Idiocracy. The movie Ass, where they all just laugh at the screen.
Oh, yeah.
We're not that far from it. People go, that's a little extreme. Really think about it. You now have the creators of the old properties that they're still trying to mine for cash coming out and saying they're terrible. George Lucas told you guys he sold it to the white slavers and you didn't want to listen because of the emotional high. Fine. Then other people, Last Jedi was trash. No, you're just too dumb to get it. And now, Rise of Skywalker, nobody remembers that fucking movie with its 27 endings and Doctor Who was supposed to be in it. It was all a confusing mess. But there's nowhere to go with this anything anymore. I mean, I put out a video 2 weeks ago. They abandoned the prequel trilogy. Cartoon Network had this new Star Wars marathon. It had the original trilogy, the prequel trilogy, and Rogue One. They didn't have the sequels at all, or Solo, because it lost money. But the whole premise of the commercial was share Star Wars with your kids, share Star Wars with the next generation. They know at the top that there's nothing to share with the next generation. There's nothing that today's family can go, hey, kids, watch this because it has value or it's actually good. Like the last thing I saw that was decent was the movie Reminiscence. Have you guys had a chance to watch that?
Mm-mm.
I don't believe so.
It was the Hugh Jackman movie on HBO Max. It was a neo-noir science fiction movie, but it was a very small-scale film. And it was refreshing to watch something like that. I hope we can at least have a balance in the big budget genre pictures, because you don't have to have all your genre pictures be stupid like the sequel era trilogy. You can have some decent stuff. Hell, some of the Marvel stuff has weight to it. And that's why people get so upset when they get called zombies. I see a lot of quality there. I don't see any of that in Disney Star Wars, and I don't see any of that in the contributions of what we're told is the greatest thing in pop culture right now. I mean, folks in the chat, okay, Sonic was a good movie, but Sonic was awesome because they listened to the audience and they gave us what we wanted. Sonic didn't look right, so they fixed him, and people went out and saw it and supported the film. I wish all of these people that made the movies understood there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow if you just do it right.
They don't want you to think, though. They don't want you to think, just consume. That's the big thing.
You know, I'd be wildly curious, and I don't know if you have any numbers on this, Jeff, but I would be wildly curious to find out what the income for Star Wars is in terms of toy sales and in terms of like the comic books. What does that look like right now when Star Wars is in a lull as compared to the deep lulls that we had, you know, between the originals and the prequels and then the prequels and the sequels? Like what kind of intake do they have right now? So because we haven't really heard anything out of Star Wars since what was it? God, last November, I want to say. Has it been something since then for Star Wars? I don't think there has.
Luke, when he came out, or when Luke appeared in The Mandalorian, that was about
Mandalorian, yeah, for like last November, right? What I'm trying to like, I wonder what the comparison would be if you adjusted for inflation. What would that look like? Is this a map right here? So the toys.
This was published by Wired magazine. I'm trying to get the exact date on this because this is an older piece of data. I can't find when this one was published, but I'm pretty sure this is before the Disney stuff.
I bet you anything that there's a noticeable, like a stark contrast between the amount of toys and merchandise and just stuff in general that was purchased, like say in the lull between, you know, the prequels movies and the lull now, right? Like I'll bet you anything a shit ton of stuff more was purchased, even in the lulls, because real Star Wars fans knew how to keep that alive. I'll bet you anything, at least when adjusted for inflation, that it's wildly different. I could be wrong. I don't have the numbers, but
I'm
I'll
trying
bet
to
you
pull up some numbers. Well, Star Wars has always been kept alive. This is why the Fandom, Menace and everyone was so they were able to rise, because the Star Wars company, well, that's not the name, but Lucasfilm went after the people that kept it alive during the lulls. All the bullshit, all the stuff that we had to deal with on the off years, the fans kept it alive. And we were rewarded with toy lines and other shit. And we weren't really rewarded. We bought that. Fuck, we consumed it. Anyway, long story short, during the lulls, there was a lot. We've kind of reset. I don't know how many people follow the merchandise still, but in terms of Star Wars and stuff, they've gone back to making mostly original trilogy stuff. There's just a lot of it again. You can even find play sets. So for all the damage that the sequel trilogy did cause, by basically going back and mining original trilogy one more time, they were able to basically balance themselves out. So hopefully they, they're
how
fixed.
long they can't do
Here are
that
the numbers
forever.
you wanted.
Okay, all right.
Here you go, Mary. So Star Wars had made $36.2 billion up until, I guess, The Last Jedi. So that's how recent this is. But here you go. Here's all the numbers you wanted right there, Mary.
I wish I'm going to screenshot this and see if I can sort out an adjustment for inflation, because I'm crazy curious about this.
I'll send you the link right here.
Okay.
Because this is just there you go. So while you look that up, I want to get back to the audience, because there are a lot of people here waiting tonight, and they have a lot of stuff to say. So we're going to get back with them in just one moment.
Who's that Pokemon? It's Uncle Ben.
What the fuck? What the hell?
Was that too mean?
It was unexpected. That was unexpected, but that was funny. It was
Come
funny.
on. Jeff, Ben Lives Matter. Come on.
But Ben doesn't. So the Oscar-nominated a-hole, thank you very much for your generous super chat. Jeff, please explain why people love The Empire Strikes Back. It's my least favorite of the OG6. The lore is Star Wars for beginners, the pacing is slow, and the twist, while fun for the first time, is boring on rewatches. All right. So we're going to have a first here on the High Council. I'm going to explain why The Empire Strikes Back is great. All right. Now, this is an interesting one, because I'm the guy who considers A New Hope the best Star Wars film. But The Empire Strikes Back is an integral part of the trilogy, but if you watch it by itself, you have to look at it in a different way, because if you watch it as the middle act, it's perfect in every way. It ties the story over, but as its own individual film, I think it brings something unique. The cliffhanger ending, I don't think loses its fun. I think it's it's without a doubt the most impactful in cinema history. Everybody knows I Am Your Father. So, man, I can't believe I've never heard someone say it's boring on rewatches. I always stop what I'm doing when, even if Empire's on in the background, when I Am Your Father hits, I usually am quiet because you can even hear the wind whipping up on Cloud City. It's like, whoo. But the lore is Star Wars for beginners. Well, I don't think that's actually a fair criticism because Star Wars, Lucas created this himself. Star Wars was an ever-evolving lore. So when you watch these films, you have to watch them in the vacuum they were created in because it's not really fair to the film to say, well, the lore isn't as deep as this or that. Well, none of that lore existed. Yeah. These movies were created, it was 4, 5, and 6. Hell, back then that was called Star Wars 2. But you always have to treat these movies the way they were created because information that came out in, let's say, 2006 isn't really comparable to the stuff that came out in 1980,
what's crazy is that they act the lunatics, the nut jobs, act like we can't handle anything new. The record shows the exact opposite. We've been eating up new Star Wars content faster than they could make it, literally for decades. The idea that old school fans can't handle new content or can't handle the entrance of new information is patently absurd because we've been begging for. We were so excited, and we consumed the content in terms of comics and books and tabletop games and just a variety of different ways for years and years and years. All we asked is that what you did make sense, right? Even some of the stuff that didn't line up, and there was some stuff in the EU that just didn't line up for a long time. And people were relatively comfortable with giving this a pass and that a pass and blah, blah, blah. But overall, it did a good enough job, right? Nothing got so out of hand. I mean, there was some arguments between fans, but that was part of what made it fun, right? But people, as a general rule, got along for the most part and were willing to accept new information as it came. It didn't break anything, at least not completely. It had to get really fucking broken for us to hate it like this.
Well, it's the world they wanted to live in, so thank you. Hold on, let me share this image.
I hate it.
I just found this picture from Boris Vallejo, some Empire Strikes Back artwork. I'll share this. I'll turn on my camera. I'll share this while we continue to talk briefly, because this is an interesting stance to take. I look at the Empire Strikes Back as like the reverse Star Wars, where you start with your big climax, you work your way backwards, and then in many ways you have an even bigger climax. Do you want an emotional film or do you want an action-packed epic? I think Star Wars is the perfect paced film. It just, once you get to Han Solo in the cantina, it doesn't stop. But as you move forward in Empire Strikes Back, you do have stop moments. Like, oh, it's epic on the Battle of Hoth. Then they escape, but then there's a lull here. Then they do something, and it never really ramps it up as high. So I can understand if you're looking for nonstop action. And the one real criticism I do have about The Empire Strikes Back is it's the only Star Wars movie where you can't place how much time has passed, and that's a problem, because if Luke is training to be a Jedi, but he's only training for a couple of hours, it doesn't really make sense. And if he's training for weeks on end, then they're in the Falcon for weeks, and they don't change their clothes, and I don't know. It looks like they're chasing him for an afternoon, but it's supposed to be weeks, and that's the only Star Wars movie that I have those questions. Empire climax is twice.
I feel like Empire is an adult movie, obviously. It's not made for kids. And I can understand why kids could potentially get a little bored with it because there are like you said, there are lulls in it. There are moments where now there's plenty of action in it too. Obviously, you got the battle on Hoth. That's crazy, right? But there are some lulls in it, and there's some conversation in it. But again, this wasn't made for kids, right? Not that it wasn't made for kids, but it wasn't made just for kids, right? And so I can understand with Empire being a little bit more of an adult entry in the franchise, why kids could, but I still don't think, I don't know, I never had a problem with it. It's always been my favorite, but that might be because Han and Leia.
Well, the Oscar-nominated a-hole, thank you very much for your generous super chat. Hopefully we answered your question well, humored you. I enjoyed actually talking about this stuff. I usually like when people take, it's not even that you're taking a contradictory approach, it's just, or the contrarian approach, you just don't like it as much as the other ones. Me personally, it goes
to talk about good stuff for once, huh?
Yeah, it was refreshing. Cesario Japan has a question for Mary, but I think everyone might be able to chime in. Has Mary read the wrestling manga Ring X Mama?
I don't feel like I should have to answer that. Everybody knows the answer to these questions are no.
Yes, Mary can't read, folks.
Speaking of wrestling,
really? It's too lit.
But I was going back to the manga thing that you mentioned, like wrestling manga. Like, isn't it? I'm pretty sure that there's a manga series called Ultimate Muscle. That's
Yep.
I think it's I think it's a manga series or such anime series. But that was an interesting series, mainly because it was mentioned by the guy who made JoJo. And here's the really interesting thing about the mentality of these guys who actually succeeded in Japan and America, is that so the guy who made JoJo was 16 years old, and his lifelong dream was to become a manga creator. And then he was like, I want to become a manga creator when I grow up. And he says, he practiced and practiced and practiced and got better and better and better. And then here comes the news. The Udamago, this manga duo, created Ultimate Muscle that was published. They entered their their professional debut. And they were also 16. And then he was like, wait a minute. What did they do that I can't get done? So at that point, that was the point, he said, that he went from I want to become a manga creator to I will become a manga creator. And you know what he did? You know what he did to call out the fact that he wasn't becoming a creator and that these guys were, because they're both 16? He called everyone racist and sexist. No, he didn't. He actually went off and then he improved his craft. He said, what am I doing that they did that I'm not doing? What makes me different from these guys? So he went off and he cited popular manga. He said, oh, you know what? My art is not actually unique. And I'm still copying the art style of my favorite writers, my favorite main creators. Maybe I should make my own unique art, make it feel more like me. And what that translates to, if you're a writer, is finding your own unique voice. It's something that Neil Gaiman has talked about a lot. And it's actually something that you need to do before you're ready to be a professional. You got to find your own voice. And so his version of that, many creative versions of that, was artwork. So he was like, he was turning in artwork that looked like someone else's artwork. He's like, oh, the editors probably see that and say, oh, another one of these, and toss it to the side. So he went off and made his own unique artwork, and he goes into the intricacies of how he separated titles and the building blocks of first pages and titles and cover art, and how every single little detail he puts in there is there for a reason. So that's why I'm going to use that in a video. I think I have already. But the thing is, the idea here is, the focus of it is that he was rejected. They said, no, you're not going to become a shonen creator. No, you're not going to become a manga creator yet. And his response was not to do what they do in America and say, oh, you're all just racist and sexist and bigots and whatever. Although that'd be kind of hard in Japan, because like all Japanese.
Yeah, they don't fly over there.
But
no.
But what the thing is, he didn't even think of that. Instead, he was like, what do I need to work on? How do I improve myself? How do I get better so that I get recognized and noticed? So, but they have the luxury here, but they don't have the luxury in Japan. So he was left with, actually doing the hard work. And he did. And he became a legend. He became the legendary guy who made JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Something that became a legend over there in Japan. I think it's a legend in Japan. It did pretty well, I'm pretty sure. But I know for a fact it became a legend over here in America. And that's how you get there. That's how you become a stronger writer. And to give you like a Western example, Neil Gaiman, the guy I always refer to, the guy made Sandman. The reason why Sandman came about, because they're like, you know what, you're on Black Orchid, no one's buying it, no one buys female heroes, no one buys female characters, which was told to him by his editor back then, Karen Berger. And he goes, okay, well, we're gonna put your artist. They told him, we're gonna put your artist on a Batman book, and we're going to give you your own character. But thing is, they didn't give him like Superman or Batman. They gave him some throwaway character that hasn't been used in forever, which was the old Sandman character. So instead of instead of doing what they do now, is just, oh, you're this category and that category. Let's give you Superman. Yay! No, they gave him some throwaway character, and it's how you know he's an actual writer. No matter what you think of Neil Gaiman now, yeah, even I was disappointed about the things he's done recently. But you can't reject the facts that he gave off some good wisdom, and that his life story was pretty inspirational and pretty telling about how a real writer thinks. And the thing is about Neil Gaiman is that they gave him an established DC character, like this already established. All he had to do was dive in, write a good story. Everything's already done. There's a backstory. There's a history. All he had to do was draw the character, write a new story for him. But his thing was, okay, I want the Sandman, but I want the freedom to do what I want to do with it. I want to recreate it. So instead of writing this for Sandman, the old character, he made Dream and the world of Sandman, which is, there's magicians and gods and demons and Lucifer and all kinds of stuff. And the dream of Sandman is not in any way near the Sandman of old. And in fact, he actually kind of pokes fun a little bit. Not really poke fun, but he acknowledges the old Sandman by saying that the hero Sandman was like a guy who dreamed of Dream and then got inspiration from the guy and then became a hero because of that. And you can see that also with Alan Moore, but I won't go into that just yet or right now because it's going to be even longer. But you could see this in actual writers, where actual writers are eager to write their own stuff rather than write for someone else's character. Like you see that they jump at the opportunity to write their own characters, their own stories, instead of writing for someone else or writing someone else's characters, which they do probably sometimes enthusiastically because they're excited about where they can take the character. But when it comes to creation, they tend to also jump at the opportunity of creating their own stuff, which is really something you don't really see with SJW creators. Like, I don't want to remake my own stuff. I want to take over Iron Man. I want to take over Thor. I want Superman. I want Batman. I deserve it. Stuff like that. I want Captain America. Things like that. That's a really big definitive difference between what I've seen from these enthusiastic writers who want to write, who have a passion for writing, and these political monstrosities who just want to take over stuff.
Yeah. The idea of having an idea for yourself is foreign to them. It has to all be built-in prestige, built-in glory, right? Never mind if I burn it to the ground in the process.
Exactly.
Jeff?
Uh-oh.
Jeff's dead. No,
I guess it's our show now.
Uh-oh.
It's over. It's over. We did it. We did it. Ding dong. Buffalo Jeff is dead. Buffalo Jeff is dead.
Buffalo Jeff.
I don't mean it. Jeff, come back. Jeff,
okay,
come back.
I guess he's gone. I can go in the Alan Moore stuff. Well, the Alan Moore with Watchmen. So Alan Moore was going to have like characters like that was already being used. Like DC bought the rights to these characters, and he's like, okay, well, I'm going to write the story around these characters, and they're like, yeah, write the story, but you can't use our characters.
Oh shit! Sorry, Jeff. We didn't realize. I just should have looked. It's my fault. My bad. Hi.
That's okay. I'm back now. I'm not dead.
Dang it! I mean.
Oh, it's okay, Mary. I'm back now. I'm
See,
here
now
for
you know. Now you know. Now you know why.
No, I went to take care of some business real quick, but I did want to bring up the Oscar-nominated A-hole's other super chat because it is topical about Empire. He says,
"Sure,
if you can appreciate a film in the time it was released, I can appreciate that. But in terms of modern films, I don't think it holds up. LOL. I'm not needing high action. Attack of the Clones is my second favorite.
Oh,
now it's weird that you're bringing this here. Not that I love to entertain this. Don't take it the wrong way, but I'm in the camp already that the first Star Wars is better. So it's really hard to fight for the Empire Strikes Back being the best when I don't even personally feel it's the best. It's easier for me to tell you why it's not my favorite, but it's because I always just think it's great. I've always loved it. I don't know. I put it on, I watch it. It's fun. The acting holds up. The action, there's a realism to it. And I don't mean like I believe that these characters are out in outer space, but the way the ships move and the way the special effects were shot, there's just something more tangible about the Empire Strikes Back than even the original Star Wars that fascinates me in its own way. It's the first Star Wars movie where it actually becomes a Star Wars movie and not a sum of its parts. Star Wars and Raiders of the Lost Ark not suffer, but come from the same cloth, where Star Wars and Raiders are a sum of what inspired them. If you like Star Wars, then you probably have heard about Kurosawa films and other influences on George Lucas's work. Same with Raiders of the Lost Ark. Was it Treasure of the Sierra Madre and these other films that inspired Indiana Jones? But when you get to Empire and Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, you finally have those franchises taking on their own identities.
Exactly. I agree 100% with what you were just saying. That's the moment where Star Wars begins to pick up its own torch and run with it.
And I think it makes it very interesting, but it also makes it more challenging because you have to tie threads together. And I think George Lucas is very guilty of rushing through Return of the Jedi. I was listening to The Secret History of Star Wars by Michael Kaminsky, and it talks about Lucas, his head is, more in the clouds towards Lucasfilm Ranch and all these other things he wanted to do. And so Star Wars kind of got rushed. I actually think Empire Strikes Back, while it's great, would be even greater if they took a little more artistic, what's the word I want to use? Not license, but basically made Return of the Jedi a little more edgy, or didn't make it such a happy saccharine ending. I think Empire would be even better that way, because you have 3 artistically different yet challenging Star Wars films that are marketed to everybody and sold to kids in terms of toys, but have something deeper. I think Empire Strikes Back is the last Star Wars film where you can look at Star Wars on a deeper level. After Empire, they become more commercial and less deep. Sorry, Return of the Jedi.
No, I agree. I agree with that. I not that I don't enjoy Return of the Jedi. Obviously, it's very fulfilling. I think if you were ever going to kill off Han, that was the time to do it. In a weird way, not that I want Han dead. Oh my God, don't at me, guys. But if you were going to kill Han, that was the time to do it, right? When it was a brave act to do, right? When it was something brave to do, not when it was something that people expected you to do because this is the conclusion, right? And you got to do something with this character. He's gonna crap his pants soon. You got to get him back to the nursing home. I feel like if you were going to kill Han in a blaze of glory, that should have been when you did it. But I do love Return of the Jedi, obviously, for what it is.
On that note, the blaze of glory idea. Has anyone seen DS9? Like, I know people like seen Star Trek, but DS9. Have you seen DS9?
Deep Space Nine?
Yeah, Deep Space Nine.
No, only here and there.
Yeah, I fell out of it. I don't dislike it, but I just didn't keep up with it regularly.
Well, that's okay. But the thing is, one thing I want to note was the character of Kor, the old school Klingon warrior he's a lot of fun on the show. The big personality kind of guy. But there's a episode where they kill him off. It's legend. It's absolute legendary character from the original series, and they kill him off by these Klingons, including like Worf. They're all doing like a raiding run on the Dominion, which is destroying the galaxy at that point, or that quadrant at that point. That war with the Dominion, which is basically the evil Federation, and from the Delta Quadrant, and not Delta, but the point is that they're fighting these guys and doing like a raid. They're raiding, like this, dropping bombs and running away. But the thing is, this time they got caught, and they're being pursued by the Jem'Hadar, which are like the genetic super soldiers. And it's like, we can't get away. They're too fast. And Kor is like, okay, well, I'm going to take the ship, and I'll lead them with a skeleton crew, and we're going to sacrifice ourselves to keep them satisfied, to keep these Jem'Hadar ships distracted until you can get away. And that's how they kill off Kor. Like, it's not, they don't even see the battle. That's the beauty of Star Trek. It's not that, because the battle's not important. You don't see the battle. You don't see him just maneuver everything. You just see the quiet as they kind of leave Kor behind, this legendary Dahar master, and kind of see the quiet. And then you, after time, like, he did it, because the Jem'Hadar, because if they beat him and they could catch up to them. Like, if they beat him, the idea was to hold them back long enough they can get far enough away that there's no way the Jem'Hadar could catch them. And like, so there's another guy in there, Martok, is like, no, there's no way, that old fool. There's no way he could do it. He's lost his teeth. His teeth have dropped out. Like this, he's gone soft. And then after a while, Martok's like, he did it. And even Martok, a guy who hated Kor, because Kor was a nobleman. and Martok was this guy from the gutter, essentially, who just fought and tore his way up to the rank of general, and who was prevented from becoming general at one point by Core. And he's like, at that point, he's like, that old fool did it. That legendary and then he goes to Core. He lifts his goblet up to Core. So you don't even need to see the battle. You just need to know that the character was treated well, was respected, and who died for an actual magnificent purpose. And that's what they handled the death of Core magnificently. And we didn't see the battle. We didn't need explosions. We just need to know that it was a good twist of fate. That not only Core was able to regain his confidence and defeat, or to at least distract Jem'Hadar long enough for his allies to get away, but also we see the turn of the character for Martok go from someone who hated Core with all of his being to someone who respected him at least enough in his last moments to sing a song in his name, because the guy sacrificed himself and did what was seemingly impossible.
But Lit, you'd have to sacrifice some shiny jingling keys. What the crap? What about my explosions?
It turns out you don't really need as many explosions when you have a good story to carry it, you know?
Now, Andrew Clark asks or says, Alita needed a 4th season. Ending was rushed. Literature Devil, did you watch Alita Battle Angel?
Not yet.
Oh,
Mary,
thank God.
Rob?
Oh, you know my answer, Jeff.
Haven't
But at least I'm not alone. At least I'm not alone. I've seen a ton of reviews.
I'm always with you, Mary. You're never alone.
Okay, that one actually. I don't know why that didn't scare me. Why was that so funny?
I don't know.
Sorry, go on. I didn't mean to interrupt.
Okay, I'm in a good place. I'm very happy. I'm California happy, if you know what I mean. Dean Domino 25 says, you guys should check out Hellsing Ultimate, a 10-episode series, 45 minutes to an hour each, that's over-the-top violent and a good English dub. It's kind of like Hellboy and Spawn. All right, let me take a screenshot of that. Dean Domino. First off, thank you for everything. By the way, Dean, as well as our many other listeners like 007 Cloud, I know I haven't gotten into Berserk fully, but I watched this Comic Tropes episode about it, so I'm getting into it more. I actually bought myself a set of manga brushes digitally so I could just play around with that style, but I'm getting into it from an artistic point of view. So Literature Devil, it's always fun to hear you talk about, I know you bring in the Japanese approach to a lot of the comics and stuff, and it's fun because comics really are a worldwide medium that most cultures, there's a difference. American comics are very different from French comics, which are very different from Japanese. There's just, different markets all over the world, but it all, is under that one form of storytelling. And I don't know, I quite enjoy it.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see.
Stories are universal. Like a hero in Japan can almost maybe be a hero in America. I don't know. I guess the domination of manga over American comics kind of proved that it doesn't really mean you don't really need to see ourselves in heroes, and heroes don't need to be us. They don't even need to look like us or have the same culture. A hero is a hero because they have the same virtues. They have these what Stanley would call like universal truths, universal virtues. They do. They have that, and so that's why we have like Deku even being a hero to Americans, even though he's written in Japan. Because a hero is a hero, and stories are pretty much universal, and that's kind of where the hero's journey kind of comes from.
Yeah, and Japanese like manga and anime, those are known for having feminine heroes, like left and fucking right, man. Like, don't tell me that shit's sexist. Go fuck yourself.
By the way, folks, I have some good news. I just got confirmation for next week's guest, so we're going to be joined. Mary, would you like to take a guess?
The Reverend Hare Krishna. Sorry, I don't know who.
Okay, is that your honest guess? You have one
no,
more choice.
I don't know. I don't know. Robert Meyer Burnett.
Wrong!
You know what? You wanted to do that.
Wrong!
Okay, yeah, I did. Yeah, I really did. I was just trying to set you up. I love the button so much, but I'm trying to have a philosophical discussion here, but all I want to do is Stuff like that. Have fun. But no, I honey dicked you long enough. Folks, next week we have our guest. It will be Robot Head. He will be back here on the channel. So it's been a while, but he's going to be back joining us. We got the times worked out. So folks, join us next week. Spread the word. I have other guests lined up. Like I said, I've talked to Razor Fist, Eric July. That would be for another night. But world-class bullshitters. We are, I don't want to say we're back, but it really did take the summer to get a couple things lined up. And now everything's kind of back on schedule. I got the next video written and recorded. I'm so far ahead where I usually am, Mary. It feels weird. Well,
a good weird though, right? Like, never mind. I was going to say something absolutely awful right there.
You should say something absolutely awful.
Yeah, she was about to say not Rob weird. So.
No, I was going to say something super, super risque, and I apologize that it even popped into my head. So, you know what? Fuck it. Like the good weird where she sticks a finger in, right? Like that.
You actually censored yourself from saying that?
Yeah, I don't know.
Why?
I don't know.
You know, Mary, that even though I'm not interested, that kind of joke is funny. Come on. I'm hurt. I'm hurt you censored yourself.
Remember the old saying, Mary, weird is using a feather. Perverted is using the whole chicken. So
what the fuck, Rob? Wow, that was great. No, I like
you never heard that?
No, I've heard it from you.
I'm glad you had.
I feel like this is all my fault. I've turned us down a path. You're going down a path I can't follow. Sorry.
Thank you, though, Dean Domino. I took a screenshot. I like to watch animation on this TV. So, yeah. Rob, since you brought up Lupin the Third, I saw earlier in the chat you mentioned having multiple copies of the Castle of Cagliostro.
Oh,
Do you have the new 4K disc yet?
No, I don't. I'm going to have to go get it. I'm heading over to Amazon right now.
It's a wonderful movie. Have you seen all the Lupin films or just, that one?
I've seen a couple of them. I haven't seen all of them though.
Have you seen The Secret of Mamo?
Oh God, no! Now you're going to embarrass me now. Jeez, I've seen most of the series, the original series, and Lupin Italia. I have a lot of catching up to do with a lot of Lupins. There's just so much of it.
Oh yeah, it's not even fair. But when you're gonna do that, if you ever want to talk to somebody about it, I've always wanted a Lupin the Third friend. Like, everybody wants to talk to me about anime and manga, and I'm like, yes, I love it as an art form, but no one watches Lupin the Third, and I'm like, oh man, you haven't seen the one where that's the first episode where he fucking parachutes into the smokestack of the boat, or the one where they steal the $1 million wine and it tastes like vinegar, and the whole joke is ha 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 sour grapes. Like, I love that show, just nobody ever talks about it.
It's good stuff.
I'm sorry.
Now, Snow, Mary, that means a lot. Thank you. I'm going to take back some of the things I've thought about you.
Just one of the wrongs.
do you know what was actually one of the worst? I always hear the worst criticism of Lupin the Third. Well, I can't take it seriously. I'm like, yeah, it's a comedy. I'm like, what? I'm like, really? That's the best you got?
They don't like the sideburns. I get it. Snell World, thank you very much. Who was the main character of the Phantom Menace?
Qui-Gon Jinn, I would say.
I guess. I know this is that old question from the Red Letter Media video, but if I'm gonna go down this path, it really isn't any of them, because everyone's equally.
It's an ensemble.
Badly written.
It's an ensemble.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't have a problem with how Obi-Wan was presented at all. It was nice to see Obi-Wan that way. Look, there's a lot of bad that you can say about Phantom Menace, but there's some good in there too. I don't hate the prequels. I understand critiques of the prequels. I even understand some level of really disdain for the prequels, but I don't hate them. I joke on it sometimes. I think it's funny. I think there are plenty of things to laugh at, but I don't hate them. They were part of a really great experience for me with my family and kind of diving deeper into my love of Star Wars of my own volition, because by that point I was an almost adult teenager, and then a young adult, and so that experience that goes with those prequels is something I don't think I can ever hate.
Cesaria Japan asks, has Rob seen female spy anime 009-1?
009-1. See, I'm more old school anime, Mobile Suit Gundam, Macross. So, I mean, how old school are we talking here? I mean, it's a lot of shit I haven't seen. So I'm jeopardizing my street cred here. So no,
Wolfsbane.
I have not. What was that?
Wolfsbane, thank you very much. Funny that Hayao Miyazaki, I can't read, excuse me. Funny that Miyazaki's first directorial debut was Lupin III's Castle of Cagliostro and cemented the modern/best version of the character. I like that version of Lupin. I kind of like the darker, meaner version, not the romantic one. But that's just me. But I will say Castle of Cagliostro is better than Secret of Mamo. Is it the best movie? I don't know, there's so many of them. Fuck, that's not even fair. Like when you get into anime, some of the movies are like those OVAs or whatever, so they're like video movies, but they still count. And there's like 50 of them, so you buy them and you spend all this money on the DVDs, and you don't watch them again, and you get pissed. Never mind, I'm stopping there. Thomas Caldwell 74, thank you very much. Hi from Medland, Columbia. Would you all ever think of doing a table read of the Ice Pirate script? That would be epic. Mary's laugh made me think.
Oh,
Ice Pirates with Robert Urich? That one?
It just says Ice Pirates, so
so it's a 1984 film. I mean, I'm down for anything, honestly. I'm not familiar with it, so I'd probably have to. Oh my god, is that what's his face?
Rock.
Oh my gosh, hold on. Is that why can't I remember his freaking name right now?
I haven't seen that in ages. Yeah, Robert Urich is in it. Yeah.
Okay, that's crazy. Angelica Houston's in it. Is that Angelica Houston?
probably.
No.
Oh yeah, that's her.
No, God.
Were you into her or something?
Well, I mean, I feel like everybody's kind of into Angelica Houston, at least when you watch Addams Family, to a certain extent. Like, she's just phenomenal.
For that movie, sure. But, like, overall, she kind of scares me.
Well, that's the
I think of the
point.
witches.
That was the point of Addams Family. But yeah, look at her. She looks like she'll bitch slap your teeth out the back of your head. That's amazing.
I just wanted to stop and say space herpes is spurpies. Thank you, manliness and motivation, for your message. Thomas Caldwell 74, thank you very much again. I like Mr. Plinkett's review on the sequel trilogy. Does that count? That doesn't count for liking the sequel trilogy. That counts for... I'd say if you like that, then you've seen the movies and you don't need to watch them. And if you need to watch something that reminds you of a dumpster fire, just watch those instead of the film. You'll at least have a good time. And then Thomas Caldwell again says, guess my pesos are no good here. See you later. Well, I'm sorry, Thomas Caldwell. We read everything in order, but hopefully you're still here to read them. And thank you.
Oh, it's my fault. I held everything up. My bad.
Yeah, Mary. Fuck you.
I'm a bad girl. I'm so sorry.
You know, any other time someone would say that to me, I would, never mind, but we're at work, so thanks. We're going to keep it professional.
I'm telling Jesse. Sorry. I'll be over here.
Track Media Only, thank you very much for your generous super chat. They gave us their baby, and we helped them nurture it for 38 years before the mouse came along, slit its throat, and ripped out its heart to sacrifice
Jesus
it.
Christ.
Whoa, God damn. Ow. I saw that play out in my head, and then it became Temple of Doom, where they dropped the guy into the volcano, and his severed or ripped out heart catches fire. Yeah, Track Media Only. That's a very vivid image. Thank you for the nightmare that I'm about to have.
Yeah, way to go.
Welcome to my world. Haha.
All right, Freddy Krueger. Adam Wofford, thank you very much for your super chat. You guys keep saying themes. Mahler will appear as if you... It's like if you say the F word too much, Quentin Tarantino will appear. Also, Jeff, number 17, please. All right, so I'm going to press you at number 17, and then we'll talk about Quentin Tarantino. Where is the number 17? I can count right. Where is...
look like a bitch.
That's fantastic.
See, the buttons don't exist to troll you, Mary. They're just nice little funny things to make people laugh. Or if we get on a boring topic, I just and people perk up.
You wiener head.
Now, every once in a while, I do bring an important button to the channel because we are world-class bullshitters, but people forget the world-class part. And when there are important social issues, we like to address them.
George Bush doesn't care about black people.
So there you go. The more you know.
Excellent.
You're welcome. You know, I learned the hard way, Mary. I can't make jokes about closing out the show and pressing the buttons early because people think the show's actually over and they just leave.
No.
So I'm going to actually try something, folks. I was thinking maybe people would think we're just starting again. Donald Camp, thank you very much. Hey guys, missed you all so much. Looking at another 3 to 4 weeks to go. When I get home, hopefully the book will be there. And my wife has already said that the T-shirt is here. Be safe, all Jamaram. Well, Donald Camp, you be safe first, friend. And secondly, Jamaram. There you go. There's your Jamaram button. But Donald, yes, and let us know what you think when you get it. Beautiful Bliss says JJ's puppet for someone. Sorry, JJ's a puppet for something more sinister. Mark my words. All right, let's talk about that. Let's say JJ Abrams is in fact a puppet for someone more sinister. Who does he answer to? Who is his puppet master? Or let's rephrase that. Who is his daddy and what does he do?
It's his wife. She's the head of the Me Too movement.
My theory is that Minnie Mouse is taking over Disney, and then Mickey Mouse has actually been taking all the blame for it. And it's Minnie Mouse who's taken over, and then Mickey Mouse is being like kept in her dungeon or something, and because she got radicalized to become like a Minnie Mouse feminist, and she's been obliterating Disney ever since. So when we say the mouse, it's not Mickey Mouse. I think it's Minnie Mouse. That's my working theory.
Right.
Anyway.
I don't have a good enough. I don't have a good enough theory. I mean, like, I'm perfectly willing to believe Minnie went AWOL, and she's running shit now.
Now, the Oscar-nominated a-hole, thank you very much. We did read your super chat. Anubis T800 says, don't take this as an insult, Mary, but did you know your face has some similarities with China? Maybe you could be the next great female wrestler. You know what? I've had enough of this shit. I'm sorry. I can't even say that with a straight face. I don't have to take this. I know that being insulted. Do you know what China looks like, Mary? Communism. All right, that's actually a really good response. I'm sorry you're about to get burned, but here we go. That's China, Mary. Oh, fuck you guys. Also, China got some work done, and China got. I don't look like China. What are you talking about? Maybe this is the version they were talking about. You can tell me if you agree with this one. Do you look like this version of China? I don't think so. I mean, I could only ever dream of being that. Jesus, man, she must break men in half. Ow. I suppose there's a passing similarity. Sure. Okay. Well, there you go. That came from Anubis T800. Thank you. Let's see. Where were we at? Great. We got the bots back. Hey, YouTube, instead of worrying about subscriber purges and all this other dumb crap, why don't you fix your platform? It's so frustrating to come here day in and day out, week in and week out, and then everything just doesn't work. You can censor us. You can change everything. You can make it difficult, move the goalposts, but you can't keep us free from bots and all this other bullshit. Sorry. I'm really tired of this shit. That was me being angry today. That's as angry as I can muster it up. Right. Don't make me throw shit. I've been dealing with a lot here. TLJ Screwjob says, speaking of Han, what is that pointing What's with that pointing a gun at himself in the Daffy Duck way picture from? Did someone Photoshop that or what? I've seen it multiple times. I think that's a real photo of Harrison Ford bored on set.
Yeah, that's. I think
I've seen the photo.
That's legit, I think.
Yeah. Let me Google it real quick. Yeah, I just Googled Harrison Ford Han Solo gunhead. And yeah, it's just a famous photo of Harrison Ford not wanting to play Han Solo. Not photoshopped at all. It sucks, but he never liked it. So that's his sense of humor. I think it's a funny photo. What do you guys think?
That's funny.
I mean, I can't say it's funny. Yeah, it's definitely funny. I think he's a funny kind of guy.
It kind of like perfectly illustrates the fandom of Star Wars, like right now.
Actually, it's you guys familiar with the national? It always reminds me of the National Lampoon cover. You guys ever see that?
Yeah, with the dog.
Yeah, this one here. Yeah. So this one. If you're an animal lover, I apologize, but that's actually pretty damn funny. Okay, that was my attempt for the night. I'm done.
Oh no, I actually had thought about making a parody of that not too long ago. So
the dog cover.
Mm-hmm.
Buy this comic or we kill this dog.
Well, I wasn't going to use a dog, but
okay,
we'll use Cecil. I just love Cecil.
Okay, that's funny. That's funny.
Now, there was another question I wanted to ask before we jump into our next topic about this whole Marcia Lucas thing, and it's not too long, but what's next? Clearly, Marcia Lucas's words are reaching a lot of people. They're in an officially published book written by J.W. Rinsler, who I had the opportunity to interview here on this show last year. Mary, have you had a chance to check out that interview with J.W. Rinsler?
No, well, the early parts of it, but not the whole thing. No. So like the first half hour or so.
I was so excited to get to work with him because you read the books, you see the authors' names, and then some of these books stick with you. And his work on the Indiana Jones book was awesome. And it's kind of sad to read this as one of the last things I think he ever worked on. But I'm excited to check out this Howard Kazanjian book. And I'm going to bring up any kind of interesting tidbits I read over the next couple of weeks. But what I'm getting at is clearly people's voices are carrying bigger names. I know some people in the chat tonight were like, what does Marcia Lucas contribute to Star Wars? Well, it's not about George Lucas's wife. It's about the woman who, I don't know, brought the end of the movie together, because in the original edit of Star Wars, Luke Skywalker takes 2 passes to go down the trench. It's just a much different film. All that Death Star approaching, estimated time to firing range, not in the original cut. They don't even really talk about where the Death Star is. They just kind of show them going to destroy it. But all that stuff is Marcia Lucas's contribution, which makes my favorite scene of all time my favorite scene. She's quoted as saying, if you don't cheer when Han Solo appears, that movie fails. That's where that movie works for me every single time. When the fucking laser blast hits the start or the TIE fighter on the left hand of the screen and Darth Vader looks up and here comes Han Solo, every time I'm excited. And that's go back. There's this really awesome recording from 1977. They recorded a theater's reaction to the film. And that scene gets the big cheer, the big response. And it's so nice that was how Star Wars was, that's how you craft Star Wars, emotion. Today, they go for appealing to the emotions of people who are like Vulcans, who are half alien, not even fully human. These crazy SJW people, they don't even process. If we talk about the great shared human experience, the people that they're trying to cater to aren't having the experience. They're on a different wavelength. It's like trying to, tell love to a robot. They're just not going to get it. The Terminator can say, I know now why you cry, but it's something I can never do. These people just don't have the same emotional resonance that we do with entertainment. And it's like we're only appealing to those people, and everyone else that's been good enough for decades to take our money, all of a sudden we're out left in the cold wondering whatever happened, what changed. So I know that was a long way to say it, but is there a way to fix Star Wars now that there are so many eyes on this one comment?
I don't think so. Look, I think I think that the truth is that they would have to acknowledge it, right? And they're not going to do that, and you can't force them to, right? If Solo losing money and Rise of Skywalker failing as horribly as it did, every single higher up at Disney Lucasfilm knows that what happened with Rise of Skywalker for that movie was a failure. They know that. They've discussed it, I promise you, because you would have to be stupid to not understand that what happened with that movie was a failure. But they're not going to acknowledge it. They're not going to let it shape their course. I couldn't tell you exactly why that is, because it is a mystery to me. I don't understand really why this is the case. I just know that you'd have to be crazy to not understand that it was a failure, that things are going badly, that things are going poorly, and they're not doing anything about it. They'd have to acknowledge it, and I don't think they're going to do that. And I don't know what it's going to take to wake them up, but they're not there yet.
Rob, Literature Devil, any thoughts on this?
I don't think they want to save it. It seems like they just kind of have this idea that we want to do what we want to do, and who cares who says what. And so, yeah, you have to, in order to save it, you have to acknowledge it first. You have to actually want to write good stories, but they put politics first. We gotta lift up more voices. We gotta put more of this stuff in there, more of those characters in there, and it's all down to like representation, but it's like really, really soft representation, so like they can just take it out when they set up to China or something. So and the end result is when they're trying so hard to get this character in there and that character with this skin color in there, they forgot to make the people, and so you get like Rose Tico, who's just like a bland collection of lines and a potato sack. And you get Finn, who's just a guy who runs around in a jacket and shouts "Ray" all the time. And you get Poe, who's just there to be like a very, very light touch of a bad boy. Like we need Han Solo, but we want to make a bad boy without actually putting the work into there. So we just kind of just force these moments in here that don't feel natural because they're not characters in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the beginning of Last Jedi. It kind of revolves on, or the progression of it kind of revolves on Poe, us saying like, oh, Poe is this loose cannon awesome guy who's just out there trying to be a hero. We don't get any of that really. We kind of see they try to force that into the movie in the second one, but the thing is, it's a second movie. We need to see that in the first movie because that's where he appears first of all.
I had to disagree, Lit. I don't think he was a bad boy. Every decision that he made was the right decision, right? Like if I'd been in his shoes, I'd had the knowledge and the wherewithal to make those kinds of decisions. I pray I could make the same judgment calls under that.
Poe was awesome. Poe was a hero. Poe got everything right. But the thing is, they wrote him according to the narrative, he was a bad boy. He was the guy who was like loose cannon and everything. So that's why the whole lesson was revolving around us seeing him that way. It's like, oh, Holdo wasn't supposed to be a hero. She wasn't trying to be a hero. You need to stop being a hero. And as far as I'm concerned, Poe was not trying to be a hero. He was just trying to do something when everyone else is just sitting back doing nothing. But the thing is, the narrative claims that this is the case. He was just trying to be a hero. He's trying to be a loose cannon, trying to go out for glory instead of trying to help people. But the thing is, we as the audience saw, he was the only guy who was correct here. He was the only guy actually doing something. Everyone else is just doing whatever. We don't even know. But yeah, they're trying to make him seem like the loose cannon bad boy, and he's written as that, or he's the narrative claims he's that. But writing wise, what we see, it's not that at all. He's actually doing a pretty good job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in order to write a loose cannon bad boy, you have to understand what a loose cannon bad boy is. And if your definition of a loose cannon bad boy is somebody who does the shit that needs to get done when it needs to get done, then you need to seriously adjust your perspective, because you cannot reach the masses with that kind of an angle. It just doesn't work, right? That how they presented Poe alone should have given everybody a bunch of red flags from that moment. You should have recognized these people have no idea what they're doing when that was their best shot at a bad boy. No, Han Solo was a bad boy. It was like they heard somebody say, "I'm a bad guy, but I'm not a bad guy," and they thought that they understood what that meant, right? No, that was Han. That was Han. Han was the bad guy who wasn't a bad guy. Right? Han was a sexist. He was a pig. He was annoying. He was narrow-minded. He was selfish, and he was only out for himself, right? Like, yeah, Han was a bad guy, but he wasn't a bad guy. But they wanted to pretend like they could put Poe on that same level. What? Because he wore leather jackets? Really?
Well, Mary,
Okay.
that worked once, just not in Star Wars.
That's a very 1950s kind of a thing. You know, oh, the bad boy. He's a bad boy. He's got a leather jacket. Yeah, and? Oh, but
I got a leather jacket. What the fuck are you talking about? No, that's not how that works.
Yeah, well, like
that's purely aesthetic.
Yeah, that's the mentality that we're dealing with, though. You know, Star Wars is going to have to go away for a little while. I fully believe that.
Agree.
It's going to have to go away. It's going to have to be I don't want to call it a dormant franchise. But it's have to go out into the wilderness, and then it's got to come back with people who actually care about it. I was at a book signing one time with for a guy wrote a book about minor league baseball, and I'll never forget this. We asked him, why did this team move? Why did the general manager? He was giving a talk there. Why did the team move out of a certain town? And he said, well, okay, the team was nobody's baby. And that's it. He said the team was nobody's baby. He goes, they played in the stadium. They played in a town. The team's called the New Haven Ravens. They played in West Haven in a stadium owned by Yale. And, you know, it was nobody's baby. Nobody loved the team. And that's what Star Wars needs. It needs, and Star Trek. It needs, and James Bond. It needs people who love it, people who are going to nurture it, people who are going to want to see it bloom and flourish and blossom. And I really do think people here who are currently working on these franchises have an open contempt and visible contempt for the audience and for the property. It is palpable. I mean, you have a poster in the office with Luke Skywalker's face X'd out. You wouldn't do that if you loved Star Wars.
You're right. The priorities are completely skewed. I think you hit the nail on the head. Is that and honestly, that resonates with what it was that Marcia was saying herself. Like, that's put too fine a point on it, but you don't get it. You don't get it. You don't care about it. That's blatantly obvious. And like, I think that's why people are so willing to accept the mediocrity that is The Mandalorian. Sorry if you like Mandalorian. I'm not picking on
Mary.
I know. I know. I'm sorry if you like Mandalorian. I'm not trying to pick on you, okay? But it's mediocre. And I think that's part of why people are so willing to embrace the mediocrity that is The Mandalorian when it gives us something small to hang on to, like the moment where Luke Skywalker shows up, is because it's a breath of air. It's a moment where it looks like someone cared.
Mm-hmm. It's the Eddie Murphy's cracker analogy. This is if you're starving, somebody throws your guy. That's the best cracker I've ever had. That was salty. No, that was Ritz. Then after a while, hey, I got some plain old crackers. You know, that's what it is. I mean, it's Eddie Murphy's cracker. Occam's razor, Murphy's cracker.
Now, Rob, we're going to talk about what's on screen in a moment, but I did want to address one of the super chats that rolled in. Our friend TLJ Screwjob, let's see, where were we at? Okay, so we read the one from China. Okay, TLJ Screwjob. Matt G, thank you for the super chat sticker that says on set. Appreciate that. Next, here's a great one from Put My Cock in Her. Great screen name. Oh, crap, where did it go? I can't. Let me refresh the page. There it goes. Love you all. Just chiming in to say y'all struggle with my screen name. To see if y'all struggle with my screen name. Well, Put My Cock in Her. No. I saw it and I laughed. You gamed the system, sir. You won. Bravo.
Proud of you. That's great.
TLJ Screwjob, thank you very much. What about Queen of the Ring, Mary? Was not Howard Finkel? Sorry, why was not Howard Finkel involved in that battle? Oh, okay. I'm going to explain what this means, Mary, because you deserve a good cringe like the rest of us. So I'm going to show you a picture of a guy on screen, and
I'm going to try really hard to care. I'm going to try really hard to care, Jeff.
It's about sex. People will care.
Sex. You're obsessed with sex.
Sex.
There you go.
Sex.
So what that super chat meant was, okay, this is the real Howard Finkel, okay?
Okay.
The wrestler Chyna, after she was a wrestler, became a porn star, and she had a wrestling orgy porno which featured many wrestlers, including a fake version of this guy. So somebody wrote a porno where this guy gets laid.
I mean, everybody's got to get love, right?
Would people pay to watch Howard Finkel bang?
I mean, look, people. Okay, depends how big's his dick. People watched Ron Jeremy bang.
All right, we have to stop this. You're ruining the sanctity of this show. This is a family show.
What? Oh, whatever. You brought it up.
Mm-hmm. This is a family show, Mary.
Whatever. Your mom.
Mm-hmm.
Class? Who gives a shit about class? Who the fuck is this?
This is Deputy Chief of Police Dwayne T. Robinson, and I am in charge of this situation.
Oh, you're in charge. Well, I got some bad news for you, Dwayne. I'm not the one who just got butt fucked on national TV, Dwayne.
There you go. There's something edgy too.
Jeff, can I find that movie on Spank Bang, or do I have to go to some other service?
Wow.
It's out there. Just use the force. Now, thank you, Boris Badenoff. Here we go. This is the image I wanted on screen because, guys, we love good damage control, do we not?
I mean, depends.
James Bond is in damage control mode. Would you like to hear about it?
Yes.
I remember this.
All right. So
James Bond shouldn't be a woman, right?
Yeah,
not anymore. Now, you guys remember all the bullshit debates. We need a female Bond. We need this Bond. We need that Bond. Guess what? The James Bond producers need money. They need No Time to Die to make almost $1 billion to break even. So they will say literally anything to shut up anyone that could think about not wanting to go see this movie. This, folks, is James Bond, the Desperation Tour. Like, we are just a few days removed from this movie. I didn't pick up my tickets. Did you guys pick up your tickets yet?
I'm not going to see that shit. We discussed this.
Pay for the passion of the Bond. I don't want to see Bond get tortured until they kind of just write off his character in the end or kill him or something. I don't want to see that.
Okay, sorry, Jeff.
I think that this movie has changed that. If this movie would have come out with its original date and the world wouldn't have had COVID and all this shit, you would have got a James Bond movie like that. Now, this is just a guess, but all of this talk, all of these reshoots, all of this stuff is to try to salvage what's probably going to be a shit movie anyway, because they laid it on thick when they thought it was cool, but the world changed really quick and they understand that there is not money in this. This ain't 2016 anymore. You can't bitch about this on Twitter. You can't do that about whoever's in office there. The world's a different place. This reactionary art, people don't go out to see some of these movies as a political statement right now. They don't go out in general because the world's fucked. So this movie, this Bond movie, I firmly believe everything that comes out around it in terms of news is to try to convince you, to lull you into that that sense of safety, like that scene in Tommy Boy when he talks about the guarantee on a box. Well, that's all this movie is. It's that guarantee to make you feel safe at night. And let's talk about this because for years, the argument is black James Bond or female James Bond. It's about time for this. It's about time to shut the fuck up. Now it's about time to change the narrative. So James Bond actor Daniel Craig recently reversed course and is now claiming that the iconic character created by Ian Fleming should not be a woman. Speaking with Radio Times, as reported by The Independent, Craig stated, there should simply be better parts for women and actors of color. He even questioned, why should a woman play James Bond when there should be a part just as good as James Bond, but for a woman? Craig previously claimed that a woman could play James Bond. Back in 2019, British tabloid The Mirror reported that Craig stated, I think that everybody should be considered. Also for women and African Americans. There should be great parts anyway across the board. Craig's new comment with the Radio Times comes 2 weeks before the next James Bond film, No Time to Die, is expected to release in theaters. The film arrives in theaters in the United States on October 8th. So that's as far as I'm going to promote this. But what say you about the changing of the narrative?
You know what he just did there? He kind of just, in another way, a nicer way, he said, make your own characters. Make something new. Don't just do same James Bond. James Bond is a white guy. He's a white British man. That's who James Bond is. That's it. It's like, we don't need American James Bond or anything like that. You want like a spy character who's black or something, then go out and make one. That's not James Bond. That's original and new. You could totally do it. It's not that hard. All you gotta do is put the work in.
I don't actually have a problem with a black 007, as I don't think it should matter in that regard, and I think Idris Elba would be like fantastic. What?
He doesn't.
How every week you find a way to hurt me even more.
Sorry.
There was a minute where I felt bad about Buffalo Jeff and all of the wrestling talk. But starting next week, Mary, I'm going to get the Godfather on here, and you're going to learn why pimping ain't easy from the man himself. All right?
I don't want any quarrels, man. Look, I've never claimed to be the end-all be-all. In fact, there's a lot of James Bond movies I haven't even seen. I just don't have an issue with it. Now, hold on. In my defense, though, before you pimp slap me, okay?
Mm-hmm. At least you know what's coming.
before you get all crazy with your pimp hand and your baby powder over there, I would say the same thing about a character that I love, Ariel from Little Mermaid, where everybody's like, oh, it should be a redhead, and I grew up on that, and I'm a Disney nerd, and that's my forte, and you can't beat me in Disney trivia and all of that stuff. That's my area. I would say the same about Ariel. I don't actually care if Ariel's black, as long as it doesn't mess with the story. Well, she's a mermaid. If she's coming from the Caribbean, I don't have a problem with that. It makes sense to me. That's perfectly fine. So that's just where I stand on it. Andrew and I argue about this all of the time.
Is she from the Caribbean in the cartoon?
In the cartoon, it's set in the Caribbean, yes.
Okay. I've never really watched it, but it looks like they live in like Norway or some shit. Like they're all white people.
That Caribbean coastline with those fish. What are you talking about?
Well, that's probably because it was written by Hans Christian Andersen.
Yeah. Now, if you're going about the actual story, it's obviously it's Dutch, but like in the movie, I'm comfortable with it being a Caribbean thing, right? Like, why is she running around in just seashells? This is really warm water. Like, that's fine. I don't have a problem. So, like, for me, I'm just trying to be consistent. I don't actually care what color the person's skin is on the screen in front of me. I don't think people can be gender swapped. But in terms of like ethnicity, I think that, and now mind you, I didn't say James Bond. I said 007, right? Now, I don't think that Idris Elba should be cast as James Bond, but I think you could absolutely cast him as 007. And as far as near as I understand, those are synonymous, but not, right? They're not the same thing. They are, but they're not.
But this is the problem with all entertainment. We are all trying to parse it, rip it apart, break it down into the semantics. We got to remember, everyone that talks about James Bond and 007 go hand in hand. You cannot separate that. Go back and look at every James Bond game. It's not James Bond GoldenEye, it's James Bond 007 GoldenEye, 007 Nightfire. 007 is just as much of the brand as the name James Bond. The people that make this are forgetting that, because it's not about what the internet thinks. It's not about what it says on Twitter. It's about what the world has known forever. And if you even watch the first movie, Dr. No, the credits say James Bond 007 in the fucking dots that pop up. Like, it's always a one-to-one. You can't separate it. It's like trying to separate Darth Vader and that breathing sound effect. It's like trying to separate Harrison Ford from Han Solo. You get Solo and you lose money. Like,
but look, I understand the perspective. I've always tried to be consistent, and I've always said that you should choose the best person for the role. And so and again, I'm not saying that Clark Kent should be black, right? I think that there's some nuance to this discussion here, and it's really hard to break all of that down when you're just talking about one specific instance, right? In terms of an ideology or an approach to things. But I've always tried to be consistent and tried to be the kind of person who looks at it. I want to see the best person for the role cast, right? And so while I do agree that appropriating culture is that just jacking a character to make it woke is ridiculous and stupid. But if you cast a person for the right role, it doesn't make it woke just because a person who's black is playing the role. You know what I mean? Like, I think that we need to be more aware of things than that. We need to be more cognizant of what it is that we're absorbing than that. This isn't black and white. Things are far more nuanced than that. And the minute that we boil it down to just one way or the other is the minute that we stop being fair to the stuff that we're absorbing.
Donkey Song.
That is an excellent point.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't trying to kill you, but kill your momentum, but put my cock on or sent in a super chat that says Ron Jeremy has charm. I could be talking about, probably.
I'm sure he does.
That's one way to put it.
Do you think, okay, Mary, could Ron Jeremy charm his way into your pants?
No. No.
Rob, could Ron Jeremy charm his way into your pants?
No.
Literature Devil, same question to you, sir.
Very unlikely.
Yeah, same here. We're going to go with no here on this show. No, Ron Jeremy, you could not charm your way into our pants.
Donkey Saurus Rex says, the original stories from Denmark. Hold on. This is, if you could just share that for a second, Jeff. That is me in Copenhagen underneath the statue of the Little Mermaid, Mary.
That is so awesome. That's so beautiful, Rob.
Yeah.
I love it.
That's the only time I ever look cool. So.
Oh, stop it.
But anyway, back to James Bond.
No, back to Ron Jeremy. What about a young Ron Jeremy?
We need a Ron Jeremy documentary, but he's Hispanic this time, and a woman.
Ronaldo.
Oh my God! Let's real quick. Let's pick the worst casting choice for the Ron Jeremy biopic. Everybody, Google one, and we'll each share it.
Like, I can't sit here and pretend like I watch porn. I just know of it. Okay, I can't do that.
Let's do Ron Jeremy documentary. Let's get Idris Elba to play Ron Jeremy.
Sure.
Well, yeah, but people cast Idris Elba and everything anyway. I mean,
I bet the dick size is comparable.
Have everything. Have every role in Hollywood.
For 500, Alex.
We need a movie where like Idris Elba and Henry Cavill are in a buddy cop movie or something. Because those are the two guys everyone wants to play everything. So
actually, you know what?
That's
not a bad idea, actually.
It's like two British cops together, right? This is two British cops, and they have like the little nice sticks. They're kind of funny. The big hats too, like the bobbies.
It'd be like a lot less funnier version of Hot Fuzz.
Yeah, they're good actors, but they don't have the comedic chops like Nick Frost and Simon Pegg. Here's my choice to play Ron Jeremy: Gary Busey.
Gary Busey.
Wow.
Oh my God.
I feel like Gary Busey's got to have a tiny dick. He's so angry.
You know, Mary, when I met Gary Busey all those years ago, I didn't worry about that. I was wondering, what are you on? That's all.
I'm just saying, we're talking about Ron Jeremy. That's got to be like a prevailing aspect of this conversation, I think.
No, I think of Ron Jeremy of Ghostbusters fame.
Get the fuck out of here.
Ron Jeremy's in Ghostbusters, Mary. Get your head out of the gutter.
I know. Okay,
where?
You know
Where?
Suck it.
Ron Jeremy's at the end of the movie. Seriously, hold on. I'll pull up a screenshot. He's in Ghostbusters. You can see him.
Ron Jeremy's in Boondock Saints. And that was pretty awesome.
He's great.
Ron Jeremy's in a lot of shit. That's not, but he's not in it for his acting
mostly,
talent. He's in it as a joke because he has a big old wiener.
And he's probably
cheap, Mary,
relatively speaking, to cast.
I'm sure he's a lovely human being.
I don't think he is. He's in jail for reasons, but
really, really bad stuff.
Oh, well, now you know how much attention I pay to Ron Jeremy.
Yeah, there he is, Mary, in Ghostbusters. There's Ron Jeremy right there.
He is. Yeah.
You think he was actually like supposed to be there? Or it was just like a big accident.
He's probably an extra, just an extra, you know.
Well, hold on. Do you want to know the story behind it?
No.
Always.
Perhaps the greatest movie cameo pub trivia of all time. Porn legend of over 1,200 titles, Ron Jeremy can indeed be spotted in the final cut of Ghostbusters. If the comedy classic isn't full of enough pop culture icons, you can add the fat mustache man to the list. The cameo, okay, not strictly a cameo, as he was in the background. He was a background actor at the time, occurs an hour into the movie. So there you have it.
Well, good for him.
He's credited as man behind barricade, and he even has his own IMDb character page.
Wow. You think Ghostbusters is proud?
You think Bustin makes him feel good?
Wow. You know, I should have seen that coming.
Takes on a whole new meaning now.
Yeah, kind of weird. Kind of disappointing. So, let's put my cock in her. Thank you very much. That changes tonight's show quite a bit. So, yeah, guys. Is there anything else you guys want to say before we put this one to bed?
Don't at me, guys. I know that people are going to have a disagreement with me in terms of the race swap thing. I want to make something perfectly clear. Okay, I don't disrespect anybody else for how they view it, and I think it's perfectly valid to not want to see characters switched up and their ethnicities preserved and all of that. I totally don't at me. Please don't at me. I'm literally just trying to live out my convictions, which when I say that I think the best person for the role should be cast, I mean that, right? Regardless of their skin color. But I don't disavow the different perspectives. So please don't at me. Please don't slap a woke label on me. I've been in this for 3 fucking years, guys. I'm with you. I'm on your side. I'm not the devil in disguise, as some people have been so eager to try to.
I'm the devil in disguise, Mary. You can't avoid me. I'm everywhere. I will label you with a toe tag when the time is right. And I will decide what it says on that toe tag.
It's my toe tag, damn it.
A Snow White movie where Snow White is played by Idris Elba?
Yes,
I would watch that
queen.
movie in a heartbeat.
No, yes,
What is
queen.
it? What is it?
That's
I mean,
perfectly fine. That's perfectly fine.
is it just that Idris Elba is the only black actor people can name? I mean, what is that? It?
What? No,
He's the only-
Damon.
No, Rob,
was it
Idris
Damon
Elba's the
Wayans
only-
earlier who was screaming
No, Idris Elba's
message?
he's the only black person that exists anymore. Have you ever seen Idris Elba in a room with, I don't know, Wesley Snipes?
Wesley Snipes is old.
Have you ever seen Idris Elba in a room with, I don't
Denzel
know.
Washington.
Yeah, Fred Williamson.
No.
Have you ever seen Idris Elba in a room with Jim Brown? Have you ever seen Idris Elba in a room with Martin Luther King? You have not.
I just think Idris Elba is very smooth.
Oh, he's denying that, but at the same time, he doesn't have
you
to
know,
be in everything.
I'll be nice to Mary, but I'm actually going to take the hardline stance against any of this bullshit. I think it's nice to humor stuff to a degree, but this is why entertainment's fucked. This is why the world's fucked, because we've entertained so much dumb shit. We've entertained these possibilities, those possibilities. Fucking people think the earth is flat when rich people can go to space and prove the opposite is fucking true. I'm so fed up. And Mary, this is not an attack you, so don't take it like that.
You're
but
all right. I'm
fed up
fine.
with humoring all this dumb shit just because. No more. This is how it's not just the participation trophy generation. It's humoring shit is not to hurt people. Look, the only time you can never have a dumb idea is in that early creative phase when you're just throwing shit out there to see what sticks. But there's a certain point in time where people have to slap you down and say no. And I think that's what the world needs, is a nice big slap across the face. And no, there's certain hallmarks. Why do you change traditions? Guess what, folks? We could start celebrating Christmas on April 15th. Why should we not change it? Why should we change it? I say we shouldn't change it because of tradition. Same thing with Bond. We shouldn't change James Bond 007. We shouldn't change these Hallmark characters. I think Marcia Lucas has got the right idea. And it's kind of sad that a 70-year-old person has to be the voice of reason because everyone else is so afraid. Oh, I can't say this. I could be misconstrued as a racist. I could be misconstrued as this. I could be that. Oh, no. Stop. We're not allowed to share opinions. We got to humor dumb shit. We have to deny crap that's fucking fact because we don't want to hurt people's feelings. And I'm tired of this shit. It's all stupid. It's all dumb. And what do we gain? We don't. We've taken 10 steps backwards.
Now, Jeff, you need the Picard from First Contact button. The line must be drawn here, no further. So that's what you need right there now.
Now, Track Media Only says no Black Bond, no White Blade. I agree. Keep them the way they are.
Well, but here's the fundamental thing people don't understand about James Bond, and I keep saying, and again, it comes back to character. It is, and people have often used the codename theory as a defense. Oh, well, it's just a codename, and I say, fuck you, you're an idiot.
Thank you.
It is not a codename. It is a person. They make references. There's common threads throughout all the films, even though they sort of reset the world. But at the same time, and the justifications of, well, he could blend in Africa. I'm like, he's not supposed to blend in Africa, in India, or in Hong Kong. He's supposed to be the last bastion of British colonialism. They're supposed to point and say, what's Whitey doing here? That is part of it. And the other thing too is, yeah, okay, you know what? It is a product of the Cold War. Russia is the big bad guy and everything still. If you look at your map these days and you read the news, Russia still is a threat on the geopolitical stage. And I always say this: how does a black man keep a low profile in Russia, a nation of 140 million people with only 40 to 70,000 Afro-Russians? And I keep saying this, and this is a joke that I say very often, but there's a kernel of truth to it. You know, you have that scene. You're going to have that scene in a upcoming Bond movie with Idris Elba. Men, we have word that an MI6 agent is here in Moscow. He's very dangerous and is carrying secrets vital to the motherland. We have orders to shoot him on sight. Now, are there any questions? Yeah, you in the back, Alexei. Yes, sir. How do we recognize him? Just look for the black guy. I mean, come on. I mean, there's, as Robert Meyer Burnett says, verisimilitude. No one's gonna buy it. I'm sorry. I'm gonna have an aneurysm. So, but like I said, there's a book.
Racist.
I just googled how many black people.
Go ahead.
So I googled how many black people are in Russia because I was curious. And Rob, you are right. 50,000 as of 2009. What a dumb argument to have. I can't believe that we've gone to the point where we're arguing over the minutia because people are so entrenched in a belief that is ridiculous. Like if you believe James Bond should be black, I firmly believe that is a ridiculous belief.
Yeah.
Good does it bring?
Can we cast Henry Cavill as Blade in the next movie? That'd be kind of interesting.
Michael Cera as Shaft. Somebody did a mock-up.
That's sacrilegious.
Yeah. Did anybody ever watch Archer? Does anybody watch Archer?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, there's was in season 2. He goes to Moscow to find his father, and it's supposed to be Nikolai Jakov. Great name, by the way. And he gets captured and he's thrown into Lubyanka. And so Mallory is saying to Lana, he goes, Lana, I want you to go to Moscow, go undercover. And she goes, as what? Russia's only black woman? So yeah, so that is kind of a running joke. I mean, throughout the whole thing. I mean, seriously, it is supposed, like I said, it is supposed to be the last bastion of British colonialism. He's not fighting to make the world a better place. He is trying to maintain the status quo. That is what's going on. You know, at the very famous line at the end of The Spy Who Loved Me. But 007, what are you doing? Keeping the British end up, sir. There you go. That's Bond in a nutshell. And I'll keep saying it. I don't care who knows it. Call me any name you want. And this whole thing, oh yeah, let's kill Bond in the first 10 minutes and have somebody else take over. You know what? Been there, done that. It was called You Only Live Twice, and they did it better.
I don't like that one for one reason, Rob.
What?
That's the Bond movie you can tell Sean Connery doesn't care.
Yeah, you're right.
And it's just like, oh man, it's such a great premise. But every time I watch it, I'm like, man, if he had the energy of Thunderball, this could be one of the best.
But still, though, you got to see ninjas in the 1960s. How cool is that?
Well, I wasn't alive in the 1960s, but I'll take people's word for it.
Neither was I, but still, just the idea is cool.
JC, thank you very much for your super chat. For me, the first requirement for the person who is best for the role is matching the appearance of that character. Then we can discuss acting talent. Yeah. I think that comes early from the casting call. That's something. See, the reason why I never follow the best for the job mentality is because there are people that are making that choice. And if you're making a Batman movie and you have 99 white guys and one black guy, you're really reaching for like progress. You're really reaching to bring that in and try to make it a valid thing, because it's like, look, Batman doesn't look that way. And by that same accord, changing the skin color, change the costume, change the car. Batman doesn't drive a car. He drives a four-wheeler. He doesn't have a butler. He's got a maid. His parents are alive and well. Like, see, the thing is, if you can change that, which is intrinsic to the character, the look, then you can change anything. And then that begs the question, why adapt a property in the first place? Yeah. Why cash in on a brand?
Is it still Batman after all that?
I say no. That when you change all of these characters, you're no longer making Batman, you're no longer making James Bond, you're making a shell of it to sell its name, but an identity that matches something else.
But there's Game kind of said something about that, where he says, you can make a Batman movie where he has like a yellow jacket, a regular guy is a reporter, has a pet bat, and you call it Batman, but it wouldn't be Batman, and the fans would recognize that because visuals matter, the visual medium.
Well, the other thing too is Marvel's been doing this actually a lot. They want to make these characters mantles, just so that they can use it as an excuse to race swap everything. And it just doesn't work. And they are going to get boned so hard in the next few years with all these new characters in the MCU. They are, oh my God. Well, yeah, they've trained the audience to show up regardless, but they're only going to show up for so long. Hashtag Solo lost money.
Hashtag Solo still loses money. Andrew Clark says they're going to make a gender swap Drop Dead Diva.
Is that supposed to be Drop Dead Fred?
Is it really a thing? What is Drop Dead Diva? I don't know.
I don't know.
I thought it was like it's an American comedy drama series starring Brooke Elliott. I don't know what this is. Well, Drop Dead Diva reboot, Drop Dead Dave in the works at CBS, so they're finally doing it. They're finally doing one of these. They're so far out of ideas, they're actually going to do the thing we make fun of. They're going to take the woman and make it a dude.
Oh, jeez.
What a great concept.
I actually did a parody song on my channel set to It's the End of the World as We Know It, about all the reboots. It's the end of TV as we know it.
Do you feel fine?
No, and I don't mind.
I don't either. I don't
mind. Burn it down. I don't give a fuck anymore. Burn it down.
Fuck it. We're out of ideas. Fuck it. No, I shouldn't say that. There are still some good things out there, like Resident Alien, Miracle Workers. But at the same time, no more reboots, no more rehashes, no more reimagining. Stop. Just stop.
I'm with you. Burn it.
I'm with you too, man. It's heartbreaking. Now, folks, do me a favor, spread the word, because next week we have a big guest, Robot Head, and then we're going to have Razor Fist and many other surprises coming up. So here on Tuesday night, make sure you join us each and every week. Start with us early, stay late, and hang out. We like to have a good time here. Mary, where can people find you on the internet?
Well, hi guys. I am Mary B, Mistress of Mayhem, disruptor of the narrative, and official Whammon card holder. You can find me over on my channel, Mary Mayhem, where I talk about newsy news stuff during the week, and I have a little bit of fun on the weekend. You can also find me over on Twitch, where I am actively trying to become the world's biggest Twitch thought. So feel free to check me out over there. We do a lot of community stuff on my channel.
Rob, where can we find you?
You could find me over on my channel, Robot Shlomo, which I'm trying to get monetized, actually. It's been a grind, but actually, you can see my stuff. I do streams. I do a show, actually, on Sunday, 6 p.m., called Not Another Panel Show, unless, of course, the New York Giants are playing at 4. And then I have to divide my attention. But, yeah, Jeff, I got to have you on at some point. So
yeah. We'll talk. I saw your message from the other week and missed it. I apologize, but we'll make it happen, man.
No, don't worry. I'm fine like that. And also, I appear on Mecha Random 42's channel. She's going to be on with Jesse actually in a few minutes, so you can check her out.
Oh, yeah. By the way, Darian217, I apologize. Darian217 says, maybe remind Mary of her odds of winning at Sacrifice. Same odds she has every week of making it through without Buffalo Jeff for Wrestling on Tuesday.
Oh, boy.
Thanks for that, guys. Thanks.
Let me tell you something, big man.
Hold on. Let me see if I can get the exact math for you. So,
the Steiner math.
All right. Yeah, so
Mary,
you know what?
Normally when you go one-on-one with another wrestler, you got a 50-50 chance of winning, but I'm a genetic freak and I'm not normal. So you got a 25% chance at best to beat me. Then you add Kurt Angle in the mix and your chances of trending drastic go down. See the three-way at Sacrifice. You got a 33 1/3 chance of winning. But I got a 66 2/3 chance of winning because Kurt Angle knows he can't beat me and he's not even going to try. So Samoa Joe, you take your 33 1/3 chance minus my 25% chance and you got an 8 1/3 chance of winning at Sacrifice. But then you take my 75% chance as if it was going to go one-on-one, and then you add my 66 2/3% chance, and I got 133rd chance of winning at Sacrifice. See, Joe, the numbers don't lie, and they spell disaster for you at Sacrifice, Mary.
I followed none of that.
Yeah, there you go.
Not even a little bit.
See, Darian217, I skipped over it by mistake, but I made up for it, dude. Folks, if you have any other wrestling promos you want me to troll Mary with, let me know. I will read them. Mary, one day, okay, so we've already done the Dusty Rhodes Hard Times promo, which is amazing. Oh, man, I got to get you with an Undertaker one. That'll really make you
No, you don't.
No, they're already kind of freaky.
No, you don't. That's not necessary at all.
Oh, yeah, I do.
I got this new mic for a reason, Mary.
Okay.
To increase the audio quality of this podcast so the audience has something nice to listen to each and every week here on the channel.
Good answer. There we go. All right.
Oh, Pagan God X. We're going ham each and every week here on the council, so do not miss it. Literature Devil, did we get a chance to hear where we can find you on the internet?
Oh, yeah. Let's go to my channel, Literature Devil. I usually have a morning show like every morning around 8:30 Eastern. But lately, YouTube has been stomping me into the ground, so no one gets notifications anymore. So if you want to check it out, I go over stories and news and all kinds of stuff. We usually have a fun time over there. It's called Morning Nonsense. I actually set up right now. It's scheduled to go off tomorrow morning, but YouTube is stomping me into the ground, and so you have to actively go look for it now. So, but there's me every morning, usually definitely Monday through Friday, but sometimes on Saturday. So Saturdays start at 9 a.m. Eastern. But I wanted to ask, did I ever show you my Alex Jones video?
No.
I could show you if you want to. It's Alex Jones on. He wrote him with Dr. Alpha, you know.
Share it. While you pull that up, I will read this other super chat from TLJ Screwjob.
Does Mary like pie or strudel?
Wow. I don't know if I should answer. I feel dirty. Strudel is, I feel, the superior pastry. Jesus,
Strudel means dick, Mary.
What? Why? What? No, it doesn't.
Mary? It's a wrestling reference.
Of course it fucking is. You know what?
Yeah. Everything is a wrestling reference. Mary, we're going to torture you until
I hate you so much.
At age, I don't know how old you are, but when you hit 45 years old, you're going to become a pro wrestler. You already got the name for it.
I've got a while to wait, so.
No, you got a while to train. You have no excuse for when you hit the ring. You better be the next Bret the Hitman Hart.
Why do you hate me?
Alex Jones is kind enough to shout out Dr. Alpha. Let's check it out.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Info Battalion. We are live with the scariest news. Washington liberals and their pet Gestapo in tights, a.k.a. those flying Nazis we call superheroes, floating around over our heads, watching everything we do like some kind of kinky, degenerate big brother. Never wanted you to know. You're about to hear it first and hear it live on Info Battalion. But before we get into that, I wanted to talk about something that I know even some of you might find controversial. But you come to me for the uncensored, unbridled truth. That's what I'm here to give you, folks. Dr. Alpha is considered the most dangerous supervillain of our time. The mainstream media wants you to believe this guy's a monster. They want you to hate him. Now, sure, he's done some bad things. Built a doom cannon on the moon, vandalized the Mona Lisa, set off a nuke, traded hostages for the rights to Star Wars. But while the CIA was busy microchipping your kids, Dr. Alpha was busy microchipping the CIA. Ladies and gentlemen, I live in fear for the day my little girl won't have any rights left because the communists voted them all away. But I look to the news and see Dr. Alpha spitting in the faces of the devils who run the White House. And remember when he kidnapped that one vegan actress from Los Angeles and he made her eat a pound of hamburger on live television? That was always a classic. What I'm trying to say, folks, is while red-blooded patriots like myself lie awake at night waiting for the commies and capes to knock down my door and drag my children off to the glue factory, Dr. Alpha has the government and those Hollywood elites lying awake in fear. He's the one guy they can't stop. Dr. Alpha is a tyrant's worst nightmare. He's the sword of Damocles swinging over the heads of those soulless demons, and I'm loving every second of it. Love him or hate him, secret societies, governments, pampered Hollywood elitists, he's taking everything they're dishing out and shoving it right back down their throats. I'm proud to call him my fellow American. God bless Dr. Alpha. Anyway, folks, up next, is there a hole in the sun, and is that where the Illuminati are keeping Elvis? We'll find out in a few moments. This is Info Battalion.
Yeah. Who is that? What in the world?
It's Alex Jones. Obviously, it's Alex Jones.
Hey,
well, no, like, who really was it?
There's a hole in the sun, and that's where the Illuminati's giving Elvis. Don't you know that?
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, you have taken advertising your comic to the next level. Not only do I enjoy it, I respect that. Dude, that is awesome.
Is that you? Is that your voice?
No, I wrote the script, but I hired someone to do the voice.
That was amazing.
I didn't. Yeah.
I'll show that the whole thing about him capturing like hostages and exchanging them for Star Wars is actually canon. I actually have it's actually a comic I made. It's a one-pager. Let's see.
I did a I did it. I'll spare you. But I did a fake commercial for recently with my new character Sarvok Jones. Yeah.
Look, this is like, hello, Justice Warrior Alliance. I know these heroic harlots belong to you, but don't worry. But worry not. You want them back. You will surrender all rights to the Star Wars franchise immediately. Or you will be fast. You better be fast on that draw. Because Joe's getting hungry. Also, his tiger's name is Joe. And then here's not the Doctor, not Ray, and not Captain Marvel saying, bloody hell. And then, bloody hell. And then, I'd like to go home, please. And then, I'm killing your whole family for this. Which is, I think, accurate to the personalities.
I'm hoping this works. So, let me see. I'm not trying to one-up you here, Lit Devil, but I'm hoping this works. So... let's see if we get the audio.
I literally hear crickets.
Ah, motherfucker.
From Mary, and that's it.
What? What do you mean you hear me? What did I do?
I can hear the crickets through your mic.
Yeah, well, son of a, that's me. I don't know why it doesn't share the audio. So
the Illuminati.
Yeah, the Illuminati.
Here we go.
Mary. I tried.
Andrew Clark says, Mary, the newest thought trend is speed dating viewers.
What?
Speed dating viewers.
Wait, I don't understand. What do you mean speed dating viewers?
Andrew Clark sent in a super chat that says, Mary, the newest thought trend is speed dating viewers.
He's trying to get a date, Mary.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not available. What am I supposed to say to that? That's super awkward.
I can make it even more awkward.
Right, let me see.
Mary?
I can get this.
I will never get over that you can see their mouth inside of it.
I don't have friends. I got family.
I'll never get over the family. So, Literature Devil, tell everyone where they can find your comic before we go.
Indiegogo, it's still available for now anyway. I actually finished the book, finished the side story. Just waiting for a few more things to be done, and then we'll put together a print file, and then we'll get it printed. I'm hoping to get start mailing stuff out, start fulfillment in late October, hopefully.
I am still fulfilling because I got Gemini mailers for this campaign. And do you know what those are? Have you seen those things?
Oh yeah, I have a whole room full of them right now.
Yeah, they fucking take a lot longer to build than I thought they would. So it's like I used to be able to fulfill, let's say, 5 books to every one with these. So it's like, fuck. But they're on their way, folks. I've been doing this for a while. People have them. They're on the way. By the way, I did notice that people are still picking it up on demand. So here's the link. I haven't even promoted this book. We sold a couple $1,000 more in it. So thank you to everybody who's backed Stealing Solo. This is the Fandom Menace edition. And if you back it now on Indiegogo, the orders will still go out. So you'll be getting them fairly soon. So be on the lookout for that, folks. And you can still get the Fandom Menace trading cards. You can get the books. You can get a bunch of the stuff. You can no longer get the shirts. Sorry that that window has closed. But Mary, you have a lot of trading cards on the way, as well as magnets. Culture Casino backed quite a few sets. The magnets are cool, though. We have a set of them on our fridge. So, folks, when they show up to your house, please make sure you send us a picture on Twitter, social media, any form, but use the hashtag Stealing Solo so we can share, let everyone know. We blew past our goal. In the first day, we had a goal of, what did we hit? No, we hit our 50% goal in the first day. We hit 40. We wanted 40K. We hit 20 in the single day. And Stealing Solo, the second campaign, was a bigger success than the first campaign. So I just want to thank everybody, get everyone excited. The books are on their way. They look better than ever. This is a nice, hefty book. I was signing some autographs in them. And there's one person out there. You're lucky. I signed one book personally to you. So if you get it, use the hashtag and let me know who you are. It's just for one person, and I don't know where that book went, but you might find out. So it's like the weird golden ticket. RH Stepchild. Hold on. Andrew Clark. First off, he says, it was a joke advice. You said you wanted to be a thought. Mary, is that the future you want?
I mean, on Twitch, it was a joke too. I am on Twitch, but I'm not actually a thought.
I'm on Twitch and we play video games. We're going to start. Actually, Nick is getting some of the new Dark Chapter games, and we're going to be having a larger presence on Twitch starting now. So be subscribed to that. But I heard y'all are making a Stealing Solo sequel called Kidnapping Kennedy. Child,
that might get you arrested.
I do have an idea for kidnapping Kathleen Kennedy story. We did talk about it here in the campaign. Let me share this real quick. Let's see. There it is right here. I do have an idea for a sequel, actually a trilogy of stories. If this would have hit a crazy goal, I could have got this out, quickly, because Stealing Solo 2 has essentially been written. There's actually 2 versions of the script. There's the serious and there's the zany. And then there's the 3rd chapter, which is crazy. I don't think I'll ever go down that route because I don't really want to be known as the parody comic guy. Outside of Woke Busters, I have a couple ideas, including a superhero. I've been doing some cool collaborations. I actually just did a comic cover for an older project, which is going to see print relatively soon. So I have all kinds of neat stuff in terms of art. I've been doing art for a long time, designed a lot of the stuff here on this channel. And maybe this Thursday, actually, no, we'll make it happen. This Thursday night, folks, we're going to be debuting our new logo. We're updating the World Class Bullshitters logo, got some new great art, and we're going to change the image. We're going to make everything better here. And that'll coincide with our merch store in the next week or so. So be on the lookout for all of that. She's a doctor in thoughtnomics. Oh, Pagan God X. It hurts. It hurts when you make fun of Mary because I didn't make that joke. So Mary, I'm going to do something really mean to you today.
Oh, please.
Tonight when you go to bed, I'm I'm going to plant a thought in your head. When you go to bed tonight, you're going to lay in bed and you're going to think of Ron Jeremy and you're going to get very angry at me.
No, I'm not.
And then when you get angry at me,
you're going to think of Buffalo Jeff.
Oh my God, stop!
And then you're going to get really uncomfortable.
Why you do this shit to me? This is bullshit, bro.
Yeah. So, are we ready to go? I think we're ready to go, folks. This is a fun night. Thank you for watching. I'll be back next week with more. Be smart, be safe, be cool, but always be excellent to each other.
Who's that Pokemon?